You're listening to Common Sense and Beer, where we talk about the heavy-hitting topics with a beer in hand. I'm one of your hosts, Zach.
And I'm the other host here, Kyle.
And we've got a guest with us today in the studio. We've got...
I'm Caleb.
Caleb. Yeah.
I'm Caleb.
Yeah.
Yep. We got...
Well, we've had him in the studio before. Probably one of our most listened to episodes, which was abortion. So
pretty fun.
Today there's really no big structure to the episode today, but we're just going to kind of look at some of the things that have happened recently, and then talk about just a few different things. And we respected Caleb's opinion on the one subject. There's no reason as to why we'd think differently about any other subject.
Did you feel respected, Caleb? I like how you just assumed that he was respected, and you didn't even ask him. That's pretty rude.
Yeah.
No. I was saying
assumed.
that I respected.
You assumed I was respected?
No, you just assumed that. How do you know that you were respecting him? Maybe he felt differently.
Turns out that your feelings don't really matter in this world. But no, what I meant to say, if it didn't come across clear enough, is that me and Kyle respected your opinion on the issue, and so I was just saying that there's no reason for us to think that we wouldn't respect you on other issues, respect your opinion on other issues.
Fair enough.
I don't know why that had to be a point of contention right away in the episode, but here we are.
I thought it was a little weird.
No,
Like, what are you covering for there?
I'm not covering
Is it
for
like a
anything.
projection for something else?
I was trying to compliment him on having a different opinion than most people, and I respected it. I believe I said it in that episode.
Is it really most people?
Yeah,
though?
I was going to say, is it most
Who's
people?
most people?
What do you mean by most people?
So
Anyway, what do you guys want to cover
today was the
first?
solar eclipse, so that was a kind of a
Oh,
fun
that's right,
thing.
yeah, okay.
Spawned a bunch of end of the world conspiracies.
I think I told Joey, but I got to tell you my experience today. I went out at 2:00 during the, most active part of it. Yeah, and there's a lot of construction going on at work. There's 10 to 15 construction guys out there with welding helmets, looking through their welding helmets.
That's
like,
awesome.
that's smart. That's a good way to do it. But
Yep. If you want to look at it,
I know that there was a lot of conspiracies involved with the solar eclipse about where it was going to intersect. There was what was the city? There was a city.
Well, it was intersecting on Rapture.
Oh, Rapture. Yeah. Indiana or Missouri.
Indiana's not real, so I'm not worried about it.
Indiana just
It is
doesn't
one of those
exist.
states you forget
It
about.
was in Missouri that it intersected with the 2017 one.
Yeah. That I don't know. Some of the conspiracies I heard that the first one in 2017 went through 7 cities named Salem, and then in this one, which was Salem means peace in, is it in Hebrew or? Yeah, but then this one passed through 7 cities named Nineveh, and that was kind of added to the conspiracies as well.
I think it's more concerning that we have 7 cities named Salem and 7 cities named Nineveh.
Well, actually, if you look it up, and Caleb was just telling me about this, the cities named Nineveh are not named Nineveh anymore, apparently.
Not
all of them. There's like 2 that are actually named Nineveh still, but the others have since changed their names.
I think it's the Nineveh province, but it's like Mosul was Nineveh in Iraq, like the ancient Nineveh.
Yeah.
It is Hebrew, by the way.
Hebrew, yeah. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. So, there's a lot. I know there was a lot of conspiracies out there about how either the world's going to end or it's going to spawn the rapture or these crazy things. So, what did you guys hear about them? Just that stuff, or
Yeah, Caleb, did you hear anything other than
I
that?
pretty much just heard, I don't know, there was this one specific pastor that I watched a video on because it popped up on my frickin' TikTok that was like, in 2017, it went through 7 cities named Salem, and Salem in Hebrew means peace. So God offered us peace 7 times.
I think I saw
This
the same
time
one.
it's 7 times through Nineveh. You know what Nineveh was, right?
yeah,
And I was like, okay, dude, calm it.
yeah. I think. Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
Well, yeah. So besides that, I saw that same video. It was kind of like, oh, ooh, ah, but and then to read like they were going to activate CERN, the Hadron Particle Collider.
Don't forget, NASA did launch 3 rockets into the path of the total eclipse.
Yeah, that too.
Really?
NASA,
They did.
yeah, they launched rockets, and it was named after the serpent god that tried to eat the sun god.
Yeah,
Ra.
they were trying to shoot it down. They didn't know what it was, so they had to.
Yeah, exactly. Like it reminds me of the whole medieval thing. It's like shooting boat. Ah, what is that? It burned me. It burned the king. Shoot it with arrows.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
They sent them into the ionosphere
Okay.
so they can figure out how communications are interrupted during an eclipse.
Oh,
Okay.
That's what I read. I didn't read too much
I
further.
mean, I
into
read
it.
I read a story where it says like if you go outside, you're gonna get AIDS. So
Did you really?
it was cancer, but still.
Same difference.
Same
same thing. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Oh boy.
Oh,
They're
man.
both
Yeah,
they're both outlandish and impossible.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, well,
we were all fibers. We're going out in our trailers. It's like, oh, lock your trailers when the eclipse comes over.
Yeah.
Watch out for the crazies. They're all gonna come out.
yeah.
It's just like we're out in the middle of nowhere. It was kind of cool because I went out and looked at it through my Oakleys, which I shouldn't have, but it hurt for a little while. But like you could definitely see it. I was like, oh yeah, okay, yep, that was it. And then I sat there for a while thinking that was dumb, but I saw it.
Hey, it was
Yeah.
so cool.
It
It
was
was
so
cool
cool.
to see.
I
Yeah.
think if you really want like the awe-inspiring, you have to be in the totality area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Well, I watched
believe it, yeah.
So, I mean, where we're at, we were not in the path of totality, but
No.
we saw like I think it was 85 to 90%.
91 is what I heard.
Okay. So yeah, we were pretty close to it. And I will say the one thing that I did notice was that the colors outside, like it was light out. We didn't have a cloud in the sky.
Right.
But the color of everything was just kind of like it was
dull.
off. It was
So,
it's like someone turned the the lighting down on
The
a camera
vibrancy.
or something. Yeah.
I like what your brother said.
What'd he say?
Oh, well, let me pull it up for verbatim, not to misquote him or anything. Carry on.
No, the way it was described when we went outside to look at it when I was at work, someone was like, it almost seems foggy, but not foggy at the same time.
Yeah, I could see
And
that.
I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
all of the colors that you would normally see when the sun is out and bright, it was just a little bit more dull,
Yeah, Tyler said being outside makes me feel like I'm in The Giver. Everything looks matte.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
Oh,
If you've
yeah.
if you've read the book The Giver.
I have
good
not,
one.
but that's a
That
but
is a really good one. They made a
everything
movie
looks
on that
matte.
one too.
Yeah. That's a good way to
Wow,
characterize it.
he's gonna agree and not even know what the book is about.
No,
Jeez,
no,
look
the
at this.
matte.
Look at this guy.
I said
Me?
matte.
Or Zach.
No, Zach. This freaking guy over here, man.
The matte color. That's a interesting way to put it. But yeah, we were kind of talking about that. Like people rush to the path of totality to try to see it, which is cool. I mean, it's not something that
Yeah.
happens every day. It's a pretty rare thing.
Oh yeah, it's
But at the same
the-
time, and the next one's supposed to be seen in the U.S. is like
2042.
24. I saw 2044.
I saw 2042.
Okay. Either
Oh.
way,
Well, that's
in the
that's
2040s.
A while.
Yeah.
20 years.
And then there's one supposed to be like real close after that in 2045,
Well,
which is
there's
supposed to
the
be
lunar eclipse and then the total eclipse or whatever.
Solar.
And they're
yeah,
solar
solar
and
versus
the
lunar.
Yeah, but there's the total, and then is that what it is?
Well,
Just the
there's
total
because
and the
there was an
non-total?
annular last year,
That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
Annular and
which is where the
total.
moon goes in front of the sun, but like it's not at it's at its smallest point, so the sun outlines the moon.
Yeah, but yeah, the ring's a lot bigger, so it's not
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
noticeable, but it's still there.
Yeah. 2045. There's supposed to be the next large one for the U.S. and it's supposed to span cities that are hitting the West Coast and the East Coast. So it's basically going to come right through the entire U.S.
I'm just saying, if God was offering us peace in 2017, whatever He was offering us in 2024, I think the rapture is happening in 2040,
40. Okay.
5 or whatever it is.
Yeah. You
Yep.
think so?
Do you
I'm
think it's
calling
a
it right now.
You heard it.
You
heard
heard
it
it,
here first.
Do you believe that it's a coincidence that the sun is 100 times as far away as the moon is 100 times to the size, so it's perfectly...
Yeah, so it perfectly covers up the sun.
Is that do you believe that's a coincidence
I
or
mean-
per design?
I think it was to design.
Yeah, I think there's too many coincidences
Yeah.
for it, you know.
Or is it a superstructure?
A superstructure,
The sun
No. Well, maybe.
as in
or
like
the moon?
as
The
in like
moon.
human manufactured.
Yeah. Is the moon the
The Death Star,
superstructure?
dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is the moon the Death Star? Is that what you're asking me?
Have you never
Yeah.
heard the theory of that the moon is a superstructure? That's why it's perfectly
I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard.
perfectly at that distance, and it's not because of God.
Nope, never heard of that.
I've heard
No,
of
I
it,
haven't.
but I just kind of brush over it because I'm like, oh, okay.
That's like the same, you know, the moon landing stuff, and they're like, well, because the technology in the video
Right.
game. It's like,
Well,
yeah,
it's made
they
out of cheese, so
but they recreate. But like a lot of people see this footage, and it's like, yeah, that was recreated. It's recreated footage for TV. Like that, they're not able to record what they did up there. They have like some footage, but
Yeah.
like the whole recreation thing, people point to that. It's like, oh, see, this was in a studio, and it's like, yeah,
yeah,
it was in a studio because it was the recreation. It was
yeah,
filmed in a film studio
yeah,
for a purpose.
yeah. I don't know. Well,
It's like flat Earth, man. It's like, come on,
Hey, the Earth is flat. What are you talking about?
okay.
Caleb, we
well-
heard your theory about the who are they again?
I don't
the
know.
deep state there,
Oh.
Caleb.
No,
We heard that theory.
Is it the drones
Hey,
in
that
the
wasn't
ocean
me.
and they're just
that wasn't me. That was
the aliens and they cover it up and they've made alien contact.
yeah.
That went from like yeah to what are you talking about? That
Sometimes
was wild.
Well, when you have those kind of conversations, though, someone is going to be out there
Oh,
being
yeah.
like, "What?" Even
Yeah.
if even if you have legitimate, thoughts on it, it's like someone out there is going to think you're crazy because it doesn't align with what they think is happening.
No, he was talking about some crazy stuff though.
Fair enough. To be fair, I didn't hear it,
Yeah,
but
you just stepped in your own.
It wasn't me that was talking about
Yeah,
it.
it
But talk about the hodgepodge that we were going to. I kind of suggested at the beginning. We were actually talking about this a little bit, but we talked about how conspiracy theories. There's always been one.
Oh,
There's always been
well,
something that's going to kill us.
specifically, there's something that's going to kill us, right? There's always a theory, the next end of times. There's whether it's climate change, whether it's Y2K and the technological, terminators, whether it's the Mayan calendar ended, so that means civilization ends, or
Statistically speaking, at some point, someone's going to be right.
eventually.
Yeah,
You would
I mean,
think.
Yeah,
You would think, man, because I think like the historical records prove that like every once in a while the Earth sees some significant change, and a flood, massive tsunami, maybe a comet, maybe massive volcanoes going off, chokes out the life.
yeah.
The ice age.
There was a 4.8 magnitude earthquake in New York.
Oh, I did
That
see
was
that.
wild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
saw
was
that.
was supposed to happen during the eclipse. If you didn't know,
Oh, but it
Yeah.
happened too soon.
yeah, it happened a couple days too soon.
Damn.
So my question is, what's the government tried to push over us while we were looking at the eclipse, while we were staring at the sun?
Honestly,
What were they doing?
It's a good idea.
That's
to,
a fair
look,
question.
actually.
What fast one were they pulling on us?
that's a fair question because
Well, I mean, they have been talking about pulling Ukraine into NATO, which would be a definite, like, now NATO's at war, which means now we are officially, it's no longer a proxy war, now we're officially at war with Russia.
right.
So there's that. Iran's going to strike Israel
Yep.
anytime.
Yep.
That's another conspiracy. So a Freemason, Albert Pike, and I don't know anything about Albert Pike. But he's a 33-degree Freemason or something.
Okay.
And he had
The
this saying,
one of the grand poobahs.
I
or
don't
something?
know what that means in Freemason. I don't really know much about the Freemasons.
I don't really either. I think the 33 is like the top. I think there's
Okay.
a specific, that's
Okay.
the special number.
Congratulations, you created an arbitrary number that doesn't means nothing.
Yeah. Right.
No, I didn't.
No, not you. He was saying the
Oh,
Freemasons.
the Freemasons?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what it means to them, right?
Right.
I'm sure it means something asinine, but he said that the war has to be between the Zionists and the Muslim world, and that they have to mutually destroy each other. So it's like a lot of like that's a weird prediction. That's like, oh, well, this is kind of weird. And then if you go back to like the whole Bush plan of the New World Order, like Iran was on that list of countries that needed to be messed with, and we're kind of like forcing them into messing with Israel.
Yeah.
Well, Israel's doing that well enough on their own, to be honest.
Yeah, they're messing. Yeah, they're messing with each other kind of equally right now.
They're
I mean,
just massive. Well, because they keep moving them into the pamphlets like you're gonna move, we're gonna bomb this area, and then they bomb the area. Whoever moves, whoever didn't gets bombed, and then like they go to that next area that they moved the people to originally, and they're moving them to a concentrated area. I mean, that's a very like Hitler, like the Dunkirk thing. That's a very Hitler.
Yeah, well, they're pushing them. They're pushing them towards the
there.
sea, aren't they?
Yes.
Like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I don't know, man. It's wild.
The borders and the sea.
Yeah, there's always So going back to it, there's always something that's going to kill us, right?
Yeah.
There's. I mean, yeah, like you said, there was the Y2K. There was. You brought it up too. The threat level for terrorism threat levels, yeah.
Orange,
Yeah.
It's a high chance today,
which I
you can't go
completely
grocery
forgot.
shopping.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that until you brought it up. But yeah, that's crazy. And they raised concern for the eclipse because there were so many people in one area or in concentrated areas.
Is that why?
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, and it happened in 2017 as well, was these cities were inundated with people coming in, staying at their hotels, visiting their businesses, to the point where Walmart was basically being looted, and there was like no room to walk in these Walmarts because everyone's.
That happened?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Go look it up.
Man.
Their whole cities were completely
that.
wiped out of a bunch of their food source because all of these visitors came in and ate up all their food. What? Yeah, man. Look it up. But yeah,
It's like,
I mean,
locusts, man. They
They
just
were
came
telling
in.
people to stock up on this eclipse.
Yep.
All bought with food stamps.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and then
You're welcome.
I just heard too. I was talking to a lady at work today, and she was saying that her friend lives out in Vermont, and this part of Vermont was going to be in the path of totality. They were charging $800 a night
Oh yeah, dude.
at the
take
hotels
advantage
here.
of the crazies, man.
And she said they were these hotels were no fancier than a regular Holiday Inn hotel.
yeah,
But because of the solar eclipse,
Hey, supply and demand.
Well, I mean,
that's exactly
basic
right.
business, man.
I get that, but man, and then there's other places charging, like they'll map out a certain area of a park,
Yeah.
and that'll be the prime viewing point.
Oh,
and then they'll
jeez.
charge people like $15
God.
to get into the prime viewing point.
Yeah, hey,
park.
can you see the sun? That's a prime
Yeah,
viewing
right.
spot.
Prime viewing spot right
and then,
here.
well,
on
and in
this hill.
2017, apparently there were places where they were inundated with people pulling off the road, jumping fences into fields,
Oh,
just to get a better view of the sun.
What?
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
what is wrong with people?
Yeah,
man.
man. I don't know. I mean,
I guess my risk of getting hit on the side of the road today was high. Then is what you're telling me.
yeah. Well, we weren't in the path of
Good.
totality,
Good.
but
Hey, you know how much it would suck if you had like an event going on in the path of like just randomly, and you're like
4 minutes of
you're
darkness.
trying to like look around and it's like, all right, well maybe the Motel 6 will have a good fare, and it's like,
Oh, yeah.
$600. What's going on?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you take the family on vacation
Yeah.
through Indiana.
what is this, man?
$650.
Just someone who doesn't pay attention at all the any of the solar eclipse, just
Yep.
doesn't care.
Doesn't have any idea it's happening even. Yeah.
Doesn't even want to be in Indiana or wherever. It's just there.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think when stuff like this happens, like with the solar eclipses, I think people just they're unfamiliar with all of it. I mean, people understand the science of it and why it happens, but
There's
people
nothing
there's
it's gonna happen.
right. That's what I mean. And these like
I guess
weird.
the vampires do hatch though. There is that.
Oh, the vampires hatch?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's when they hatch. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Well,
So I mean,
there's some validity to them. Yeah. Well, and then this year we've got talk about another conspiracy theory slash, death.
apocalypse.
Yeah. The locusts are supposed to come out. There's supposed to be 2 breeds of locusts that come out in
Yeah.
the same year.
Well,
When in the past the cycles have been off for by a couple years or a
It's
few
like
years.
7 years and 3 years or
Yeah.
something goofy.
And they're supposed to all come out at the same time this year.
yeah, that's weird.
So, yeah. And it's an election year.
And it's an election year. We're
Oh,
gonna get
man,
the
we got
locusts.
everything going on
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah. But
I sure hope those locusts don't go through all those paper ballots, man. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Well, they should. I think they should be dormant by November, though, right?
I don't know.
Well, you never know. Yeah,
They could be the election locusts.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, these locusts specifically
Yeah.
are the ones.
So
Oh no, that's what they're going to do. They're going to say these locusts because this
Yeah.
is the first time in how many ever years that they've actually come out together. They're going to breed and have a new breed of locusts that specifically eats ballots.
No, well,
yeah,
they're
and they're Trump did it.
yeah, yeah.
It's Trump's fault.
The
well,
Trump
no,
flavored
no,
ones are
actually,
the ones that are
these
eating.
these locusts are actually Democrats, so they only
Oh.
eat Republican ballots.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
bastards.
Yeah, yeah.
these locusts will only eat the Trump flavored ballots.
Oh man. Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Cheeto dust taste like?
Cheeto. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. But yeah, I don't know, man. What's another crazy thing that we've experienced in our lifetimes that was supposed to end the world within just a few years? Global warming. That was a big one that we were pushed about. In
Yeah, global
school.
warming.
It's still happening.
Well, global warming is like the current one. I
Yeah.
think still, right?
Yeah.
Pollution and
Before us was acid rain, but we had the ozone layer, the hole in the ozone layer, and that was
Yeah.
going to melt everybody, and
That's why.
cancer was going to go
Yep.
through
That's why aerosol cans were banned.
yeah,
Yeah, you
There was
remember that?
chemicals that were banned at that point.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they were called, but they were in like all sorts of aerosols at
It
the
was
time.
what was it? Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, like CPCs or
Something like that,
Something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah, that was crazy.
It was a weird time, man.
Yeah, and then we had Captain Planet when we were
you gotta
younger.
save the planet.
Yeah. What's your thought? I mean, what's your overall thought? I get we can do one by one, but what's your overall thought on like the global warming and or like saving the planet type thing? What's your overall thought on that?
Caleb,
jeez, like what?
save the planet.
Save the
You got to block the roads and glue your hands.
Well,
to
you've seen that,
paintings.
right, Caleb? You've seen that where people are, especially over in the UK, they're blocking roads for people not to cross these
Yeah,
like
they're stopping
bridges. and-
traffic.
Yeah, they're stopping
No.
traffic. Oh yeah,
Well, they should go talk to Taylor Swift about that.
they're
one.
sitting down in the middle of the road in front of these semis so they can't go past.
If we're talking about emissions, they should
Oh.
talk to Taylor Swift about emissions.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure she pays enough offsets. That's another thing the rich and the celebrities do. They still
Yeah.
fly in their jets, and they acknowledge all their what they're doing to the environment. So they just pay large sums of money that are potentially going into planting new trees.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't pretend that Taylor Swift is some sort of saint.
No. I mean,
She's got like a cult
yeah.
of
Well,
weird
yeah.
women though.
Let's not get
not
too
even
far
just
from
women
it though.
though.
There's Swift dudes.
What are you, a Swiftie?
Are you a
No,
Swiftie?
I'm not. No,
What are you
There
trying
are
to
but
tell us?
yeah.
there are dudes out there that are Swifties.
That's
What if
crazy to
what
me.
if Taylor had the special thing that you enjoy?
Oh,
Would you be okay with that then?
What do you mean?
Special thing that you enjoy. Where are we going with this?
You should know exactly where I'm going with this.
I know. So
No.
listen to the Midwest goodbye.
no. What's your overall thought on it? Like when you hear it, do you automatically think like, oh, it's a government ploy to push an agenda, or do you? I mean, what's just your overall thought of it? Of the whole save the planet and the like climate activists and stuff like that.
I'm gonna die one day.
Okay. Explain your rationale
I
behind
don't-
that statement.
I
Expand.
don't have a thought.
Oh, you just like give them
Like-
pass, like they just come and go. You don't really care about them.
Like I have never heard a good, solid argument on either side
Of what?
of the climate change. Like it
Oh.
seems like there's two
Well,
sides,
climate-
right? Like there's the people who are like, climate change, it's changing, it's Then there's the
Okay.
people that are like, no, that's fucking false.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Okay.
I don't know. I've just never heard a good argument for either side. So I'm going to continue to drive my car. And I'm going to continue to use plastic bags
Are
that I
you-
get
Fair
from
enough.
Woodman's.
Well, don't get me wrong, right? Do I think we should be taking care of the planet? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
That's kinda where I was-
stewards of this earth, right?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was getting at with the question. I assume. Well, Kyle, let me hear yours.
Ooh.
So just
What's your just overall thought?
I guess forget the minority then. Okay, I got it. I got you. I see it.
No, Joey, go ahead.
I'm just gonna mute my mic.
Yeah,
All right, man.
I didn't mean to shut you up.
No, I think the biggest thing to like the climate stuff is that it's like, well, obviously, like climate's going to change over time. I think the human impact to it is what's bullcrap, because you get a bunch of these studies and then you find out it's like, oh, well, so and so paid them for that study, or like, it comes to that whole thing of like any research can be bought and paid for. And that's honestly one of the worst things to like come to realize. Like the worst moment for me was realizing a bunch of these research papers are just, it was who you knew and that person liked you, so they signed off on your paper. It could be completely bullshit, whatever you just wrote, just complete nonsense that makes no, it's not real scientific, but it like supports so-and-so's agenda and they paid so-and-so to get that. It's just weird, and you find out about this stuff. But that's where a lot of that science comes from, that supports certain facts of like the crazy radicals. But it honestly is like a weird climate cult. These people that are doing stuff like blocking the roads and gluing their hands on paintings, it's like, I don't know what you're trying to even like
Splashing the orange paint
who
over
are you
everything.
trying to win over with this action?
Right.
Like, I don't know, and it doesn't make any sense to me. But
Well,
I think
what
that
do they
absolutely
want?
the climate is changing. What?
I don't understand what they
No,
want.
they're-
I don't
It's like,
either.
It's not going to change.
No, well, so
yeah, like what are you gonna do? Just kill everybody and like stop
Yeah,
oil?
well-
Like that's the thing where they're like, well, just end oil now. It's like, okay, but then like we're really reliant, believe it or not, on petroleum products. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people will just die.
what is the name
All
of
the
that
diabetics
organization?
and their medicine, refrigeration, electricity,
Yeah.
all these plants are gonna go.
I think it's something along the lines of Just Stop Oil or
Are they the
something
radical
like
ones
that.
that
Yeah.
just want to like end it?
they're the ones that are
Blocking
throwing
the roads, right?
Yep, they're blocking the roads. They're splashing orange paint on paintings that are centuries old
Why
that are
orange?
respected. I don't know,
Is that
but
significant in any way?
not that I'm aware of. I mean, I could probably look it up, but I think, I mean, the interesting thing, you're kind of right, Caleb. I actually never thought about it that way. Is there's usually two sides. I would consider myself kind of in the middle, kind of like what Kyle said. We're stewards of the earth. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
you shouldn't intentionally just
Throw some shit out the
yeah,
window while
like-
you're driving.
Right.
Like,
right. Well, I
That
mean
pisses
that
me
one.
off when I see other people do
Honestly,
it.
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Honestly, though, with that point, though, is that the reason that I hate people just throwing stuff out their windows in their cars isn't so much because of the earth, though. It's because someone at some point has to pick that up.
Yeah.
Or
You
you're
know,
gonna damage
and so
my
I'll
car.
be honest, or right, exactly. So I mean, I'll be honest. That's really not a factor in my mind. But at the same time, it's like we shouldn't be doing things intentionally to try to
Right.
damage the earth.
Right.
And if there's scientific fact that human interaction or human existence is actually ending it somehow,
Well, like,
but
and like the research, what I was saying is like they'll be like, well, ice is melting, right? And they'll pick a specific part, and they'll be like, yeah, the ice is melting here,
yeah,
and then they'll just go off of that study, and then they'll cite that study over and over for whatever they want to keep claiming. Like, see, the ice is melting, and that's it. That's all they care about, because they'll lie. Like you go further in the article, it could be like some tiny amount. But then, like, come to find out on the other side of this place, there's more ice than there's ever been before.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and it's just like that's what I mean. So like
Huh?
certain stuff gets picked.
Yep.
I just want to know if the Earth is warming up. Like, you could be wrong. Like, our winters are not what they used to be.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
But
Yeah, I've noticed that too. But at the same time,
Well, this
though,
one was
there's-
very specific though, because we're in El Nino season. So
I know,
Right.
but just in general, like, our winters are not what they were when we were kids, Joey.
But I think though too that we even when we were kids there were different winters. I mean
last year kind of blew.
some winters are just inherently different than others, and it's not necessarily warmer or colder. I mean the one year we barely got any snow, and then the next year we got nothing but ice. Do you remember a few years ago? It was just nothing but ice storm after ice storm after ice storm.
Yeah, those
What I
suck.
will say is I've noticed, I guess, too, is winter gets later.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
the season itself stays longer, but comes later, too.
Yeah, like very rarely do we have snow for Christmas
Yeah,
or
but
an
when we
actual
were
blanket
kids,
of
we
snow.
did.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, a lot of times we were getting snow on Thanksgiving too,
Yeah.
Yep.
or before
Yeah.
Yeah, but not too long ago we got snow on Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
That
Yeah,
was a
kids
couple
were
years
trick or
ago.
treating in in the
Oh,
snow.
I was out there.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yep.
I remember my kid ran up and slipped on the.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just like
But-
that. You got to slow down.
It's winters like this that's going to be attacked by the ones that
Oh,
are
100%.
activists for change,
Well, and that's
you know?
and that's I think
Yep.
that's kind of what we're all saying is that it doesn't matter. So both sides of this aisle, they're going to use one winter to
Right.
punch home their
Yeah.
their agenda.
But-
Talk to me when Antarctica completely melts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, they're melting the ice on Antarctica to build their like bases and weird cities.
Yeah.
Like almost every country or nationality has like a claim at some point. And
Did
there's
you-
some like full on cities in Antarctica.
did you hear about that whistleblower that blew the whistle on like the technology in Antarctica?
I'm not sure.
He was talking about how these like these receptors and stuff that they are using to apparently collect data under the ice. They drill, and apparently they had like, I don't know, 2 foot by 2 foot orbs, that they periodically space out and drill into the ice, put them in the ice.
Yeah.
And then someone found out that these things were not just receiving information, but they were actually transmitting information. And then they started talking about, you'd have to go look it up. But he was talking about how it has the ability to change weather patterns, earthquakes and stuff. Like it apparently. And he said, he does say in the interview that, he can't go into too much of it because it would likely be very garbled in jargon. But yeah, interesting. Just check it out because, I mean, that ruins a little bit of the validity of his statement because, I'm not going to say this or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can do all of
But-
these things, but you guys just don't understand how it
Yeah,
works. So I'm
right,
just
right.
not going to tell you how it works.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It's interesting to hear, I mean, it doesn't, because they've always talked about how they have been drilling into the ice for years,
Yeah.
collecting data and
What
stuff.
data are they collecting?
Yeah, they're looking. Well,
they're unearthing the old plagues that seem to be frozen in the ice there.
apparently in several layers of ice that go hundreds if not thousands of feet down, apparently there's layers with different things frozen in them. And so it's kind of like, why do you dig through rocks and find fossils? You to explore and find different things that were present in those layers. And so they're, that's what they're claiming that the research, what they're doing for the research.
Yeah, but one of the HARP labs is down there.
But and then there was a telescope too that he was talking about, or one of the biggest telescopes or something, and he found out, or someone found out that was transmitting information to hundreds, thousands of satellites out in the, which I mean, that's kind of what a satellite does, but
It does?
yeah.
What?
But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. The whole climate change thing. I mean, when I was a kid too, they always told us like, oh, the sea levels are rising because of global warming, because of the ice caps melting.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about that? what's crazy about that is, and you can do this experiment at home, fill a glass of water completely up to the top and then put ice in it. It'll overflow, right? But it'll stay at a point where it won't fall, no more will fall out. And then you let the ice melt, and it turns out that it stays at the exact same level because the ice it has a different density, and so it actually ends up being a little bit less, minuscule, but a little bit less than what was in there before once the ice melts.
I'm telling you, the Earth is flat.
So, oh yeah, but yeah, I mean that's a fun experiment you can do.
You
with
are
kids
also
too.
making the assumption that there are not maybe potential pockets of air in those like caverns in the ice and stuff like that, where they're just like.
Well, if there's yeah, but if there's air bubbles, then that would decrease the sea level. So I mean, because that would be more space for the water to fill, you know. But either way, all I'm trying to say is that the ice caps melting is not adding any more water to the ocean. You know, because at one point I remember them saying, you know, oh, half of the country is going to be underwater if we don't take care of climate change now, you know, because of the polar ice caps, and then it'd always be followed up by a picture of an iceberg floating around with one lonely polar bear.
Polar bear, man.
Yeah.
He's super sad. You know, I think what discredits that movement a lot, though, is that most of the people that spout that stuff are the ones buying up all the oceanfront property.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
Yep.
whatever, man.
Yep. Yeah, I think I kind of think that answers our question as to why there's always something threatening our lives.
Oh,
It's an agenda being pushed. Yeah.
Someone wants money and
Right.
they want more power. And they're just,
Exactly.
they want to use fear, and
Oh yeah. Well, fear is the best
it's a tried and
motivator,
true
right?
tactic, man.
Yeah.
Works over and time again.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So speaking of that, with the new COVID potentially, they made bird flu a thing, transferable to humans, and it's a cattle rancher or something in Texas that got it. Cattle worker that got a.
wasn't bird flu already? Weren't they already claiming bird flu was transmitted to humans before? I thought there was a scare.
Trying. Like, there's been people that have gotten it, and like it's not common that it happens, but they're trying to do the same thing with the grant money that they did with COVID to this one, to bird flu, like that same process.
Yeah, I know what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of swine flu,
Oh,
the Henny H1N1.
yeah, everybody.
Oh,
that was a
yeah,
bad
yeah.
one. I remember when
Yeah.
that one around.
Yep. Yeah,
But there was an avian flu, wasn't there? An avian flu
I
pandemic
thought there
that
was.
happened? Wasn't there one that happened under Obama?
I thought there was something.
I thought
yeah,
under
'cause
Obama it was H1N1.
Go back
could
to
have been both.
your sea level question. NASA says that melt ice cubes in a glass of water, the water level will not change. Can the same be said for ice floating in the ocean? The answer: there is a common misconception that sea level change comes only from ice attached to land and not from floating sea ice. Although that is mostly true, it turns out that there is an effect, even if it is minor, and often overlooked ingredient makes a significant difference: saltiness. Various studies show that because floating ice is made of fresh water, it actually increases sea level significantly when it melts into the salty sea, unlike what happens in your water glass.
Interesting. So that would be an interesting one then. Maybe you make the water salty. You salt the water and then put the ice cubes in it and see if that changes the effect of the experiment. Because I guess like the viscosity or the chemical makeup, I guess that could be a thing that could add to the, but I don't know. I'd have to. It'll be interesting. I might actually try that. But
Does the fresh water not just soak up some of the salt?
Well, it's all salt water, Caleb. Like that ice in the ocean is also like not just like fresh water.
well, that's what they said though, right?
Yeah, I
it
thought
said
that's what they said.
all the floating ice is fresh water.
We need that.
Oh, I took it as like in your glass of water. So yeah, I'm
yeah.
mistaken, but yeah, you're correct.
So it's
on that.
fresh water. So yeah, it would just make the ocean less salty. It would be much more pleasurable to swim in if I wasn't getting salty water in my mouth.
Well, it says ice melting in a glass of water does not change the density, while ice melting in the ocean decreases the density of the salt water, raising the sea level slightly.
Okay, so that increases.
Oh.
Interesting. I am not a scientist by any means. I want to give that disclaimer out there because.
But he was so quick to talk
Then-
about like.
then again, though-
here's the experiment and how to make.
But then again, though, we have to give disclaimers on every episode lest we be pulled down by YouTube.
Yes, we love Bill Gates.
Yes, we
We
love.
love Bill Gates here on Common Sense Beer
Mhm.
Podcast.
Yep.
Caleb said you love Bill Gates.
I love Bill Gates.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah. What else? What else are we gonna dive into? What else comes to mind when we talk about this kind of
End
stuff?
of the world stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Obama being the Antichrist.
That was a big one. I do remember that. And I remember, so one of the things in the Bible, and I don't remember where it's at, I don't remember where it's mentioned, but it does say something about the obscurity of the Antichrist when he does come and how no one knew of him, you know? And, I mean, Barack Obama just kind of came out of nowhere.
That was Hillary's turn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Barack Obama came out of nowhere. That was one thing that people said that, you know, added to. And then there was the whole birth certificate thing. And then there was, you know,
Yep.
all of that. I remember actually going to one of his rallies because they held one at the college here. I don't know if you remember
Oh,
that.
no doubt. Really?
Yeah. And that was wild. I mean,
Did you
It
get an Obama phone?
no. The Obama phone. Yeah.
Well,
that
too
was-
bad he was already listening to you anyway.
What's that?
What?
He was already listening to you anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Get that metadata, son.
Yes,
That's when we
sir.
found out. It was Obama was running things when we all found out.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was hoping change, and then like he's like, "Oh, I'm going to renew the Patriot Act." It's like,
Why?
What?
Why?
I'm going to drone bomb more people.
Yeah. The Obama phones. That was a funny thing.
Going to
Yeah.
give everyone some health care.
Yeah, we don't like Yemen, so whatever.
And
No one cared about Yemen, man.
Yeah.
For the
Still-
longest time.
Still don't.
Still really don't. But now at least they know about it. They're like the Houthis. It's like, yeah, we've been
And-
fighting them
and-
for like the last decade, like
and-
longer than Afghanistan. Well,
And we
as
still know
long.
we still know we're bombing them too.
Yeah.
We haven't stopped.
Yeah.
They're claiming victory on us. The propaganda is real.
Yeah, I'm sure Haiti's claiming victory right now too.
Probably. They're invading us by land. It's going to get wild. They're bringing their machetes and everything.
Yeah.
Hide your kids. Hide your daughters.
Oh, crazy.
They're gonna eat you. Do you not know about that in Haiti?
Barbecue.
They're actively committing cannibalism.
Cannibalism.
Caleb, that just means fat
Weird.
people go first.
It's a prime rib right there.
What do you think the best cut on you, Caleb, is? I got a grill out back.
The love handles.
I'm going
For
to
me.
pass.
Well, you got to think about it. Like if we think about it like in a deer, right? Like the back straps are typically the best parts, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think like maybe a part of the quad, like a quadricep, would be a little more muscly,
It'd
like
be
a
like a
little
steak.
more, yeah, kind of like a pork steak, like
Yeah.
a pork chop.
Pork loin.
You have to cook it
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Make it tender.
I couldn't tell you. Never tried human.
That you know of.
That I know of. Fair enough.
That you know of.
Man.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just went to a weird place. Have you ever?
Yes, you did.
Have you ever eaten at a restaurant, some obscure restaurant that someone told you to go eat at, right? And the the cut of meat is not very good, right? And
Yeah.
have you ever just thought in the back of your mind, even for a split second, like,
Oh, God.
could it be? Could it be? No, just
No.
me. Okay, got it.
Where are you going?
Yeah, where do you go?
Yeah, he said obscure restaurant. He meant to say Oriental.
Oh,
Orient-
Korean barbecue?
No, I've never eaten at a Korean barbecue place.
It's
actually,
good, but some of
Neither
that
have
food
I.
looks crazy.
yeah.
But it's delicious.
What was that? What movie was it? Was Indiana Jones where they served the monkey brains, the fresh monkey brains?
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that. That's kind of gross.
yeah. That was in India, so yeah, maybe that's a delicacy over there. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, man. Have at it.
But
you can
I
have
don't
all
know.
the monkey brain you want. I won't touch it.
Yeah. There's
I'll eat all the cows, so we're good.
I'll try anything once.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that about Thailand too? Then
Tyler.
Man, Joey just perked up real
Maybe I
good.
should.
Really got to
maybe-
listen to that Midwest Goodbye
Maybe
podcast.
I should be careful what I say.
What did you mean to say that you'll eat anything? You'll try eating anything once?
I'll try any food once.
What's food?
you know that reminds me. There was a Japanese guy who decided very high end type of stuff. He's a master chef. Well, he decided to castrate himself, right, and then serve it up to a number of guests, willing guests, right. They all paid to have this. He sautéed it, did whatever he wanted to, and maybe
fed
I
it-
don't know. You know, it.
Who knows,
would you
man?
try that, Caleb? You said you tried anything, and this is a real happening. This happened.
I will try any food within reason once.
Within
Okay, you're very
reason.
hungry. It's the only thing around. The
Oh,
Asian
yeah,
man
we're
is
talk-
offering it to
we're-
you.
We're talking. Yeah, I mean, well,
Well, no,
Depends on
we're
how
not talking a
hungry.
survival mode.
Like,
well,
yeah, we
you
talking
said within
survival
reason.
mode.
Well, now you said within reason. So now we're gonna put it into survival mode because now it's become within reason
in
to
survival
to do
mode,
this.
probably. If I'm trying to survive,
It's all right. We just wanted to make sure you had continuity in your statement. It is crazy to think about that. Like when you would have to come to that decision, you know, like what's that movie? Is it Alive?
Yeah. Well, what do you
Name
eat
of the
first,
movie?
though? Right? You kill your friend, and you're like,
I mean,
all right, let's.
well, I wouldn't kill anybody.
I got
to
a
eat.
fire going.
I would say that would be a line drawn for me, is I would not kill somebody so I could eat.
Well, you don't. You say that now while you're currently
That's
within nourished.
right. I get that, but at the same time, like I think that's where I would draw a line. Is like I wouldn't ever kill somebody just so I
I
could eat.
guarantee you
What?
that people on the trail also said
Yeah,
that as well.
yeah.
And then they,
Dude.
oh,
You-
I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah.
No. It's not even that. It's the other people on the trail that don't abide by the same code that you do.
Right.
When it becomes like that type of world, man, it's
Yeah.
Survivor. You know,
Yeah,
dude,
that's right.
You
Actually,
can't.
that is actually a good because yeah, so I'm saying right now that I would never kill anybody just so I could eat. But if someone else did kill this person, would I still eat it? I'm not the one that killed them, but they were killed in cold blood.
chances are I'd still probably eat it.
I mean, yeah, that's
But what if it
All-
came
all I'm
down to you and that other person? What if it
I'm-
came down to me and you?
I'm just saying, I highly doubt you wouldn't kill someone to eat. I am, because you've never been in that position. None of us have been in that
Right.
position,
No.
and we can say all the things we want, but
Yeah,
until
that's
we're
fair.
actually
I
put
mean-
in that situation, I guarantee you, if you're at the brink of starvation,
Where
you'll
would
go
you
to
be?
very lengthy ends.
What would
Well, we're-
have to happen
we're
for
talking
that
about.
to have happened?
Have you
to
ever
us?
seen the movie Alive?
Have you ever heard of a hypothetical?
Yeah, but like I'm saying, like what's the situation? Because there's like a lot of surviving you can do. Just like there's food that grows, right? So,
Well, you're
like,
also assuming
if-
that we have knowledge on that, right?
oh, well, yeah. What's
But
your
the-
hypothetical then? I
Okay,
guess.
fine. Okay, you're hypothetical. We're on the good old trail, going out to the west, and we're in Colorado. We're actually in Utah.
You died. You have dysentery.
Yeah, your friend dies from dysentery. You have to leave him behind.
Lost an ox.
You
crossing that river.
see the mountain ridge in the distance.
Yeah.
Snowstorm, 6 feet of snow, cover all life forms. Now you can't
you're-
find anything.
you're effed.
You're camping out with the fire. You're trying to survive. It's been 3 weeks. No one's eaten,
You made a mistake.
and now you're staring at your friend.
Who looks like a big juicy ribeye.
No, dude, I'd probably just die.
Oh,
Yeah,
you,
but
you
you
say
say
that.
that.
You say like I said.
Nah,
I've been
like,
saying
I,
you say
I,
that.
yeah, because I would probably just die, dude.
That's
I'm
like-
saying that
yeah.
because of my laziness. Like, I'm not gonna go through what it's gonna take
because of
to
your laziness.
murder someone, going through the guilt, and then eating them.
Yeah, that's
At
true.
that point, what substance? I'm gonna get a couple more days, maybe a week.
Okay, but
That's
then,
not gonna be enough.
Right,
to
but then-
outlast the crazy snow and winter.
Yeah, but
Like,
that, but it
what?
well,
also
that's the exact same thought that party had as well. And then guess what? They got saved, right? So they're like, oh well, well, let's hold out. Let's keep holding out. Let's keep holding out. And then okay, can we keep a couple people die? And then next thing you know, they had a party come and help them, and like, oh, okay, cool. And the party can only carry 20 of them, so they leave 20 behind, right? So then they leave for another week and a half. Like, oh, well, they're coming back, but we're still a little hungry, which means who's the weakest link?
Yeah. Well, but Kyle, would you eat? So, say one of the people that you're with does kill another person to eat them, and you've got the food in front of you. You haven't eaten, like Joey said, for 3 weeks. Would you still eat a portion? Even
like
though
if
you
it's
weren't
being
the one
handed around.
Yeah, if
I
you
haven't
weren't the
eaten
one
for
that
3
killed
weeks
it,
and everyone's
you
doing
killed
it.
them.
Yeah, because I'm probably nuts at this point, and
Right,
psychotic,
right.
right?
So
I'm
then-
probably
so then that
definitely
begs-
in the group think scenario, and I'm just doing what
Right.
everyone else is doing.
So then at that point, it's kind
Trying
of
not to get eaten.
conceivable. It's kind of conceivable, and I'm going to kind of turn around on myself because now that I've thought about it more, it's kind of conceivable
Got him.
that it is kind of conceivable that if I'm that crazy enough to actually eat human meat that I know is human,
Yeah.
it's not that inconceivable to say I might kill somebody.
We're all capable of it, and if you say you're not, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of those morality.
Yep. And the hypothetical
paradoxes.
obviously changes it, right? There's so much nuance to that, but
Oh,
it's
sure,
like when
sure.
you keep adding things or take different looks on the scenario. It's
Well,
like,
the only
whatever. Yeah, but like
the problem is though
Well,
is that this isn't so hypothetical because it's a true story. I mean, plane crashes in the mountains. There's no food for miles, and so they.
And the reason I keep pushing the narrative is to show you that you are capable of these atrocities.
Yeah.
oh yeah, dude. Yeah, the
Yeah.
people that don't, and that's what really irks me about all these commie like lefties that run around, because it's like you have no idea what you're asking for with like this destruction of like this civil war, this destruction, because in order for their utopia to rise, you have to destroy what we currently have, and in order with all these open border policies, gang turf, defunding the cops, and then you have like just a destruction period, and then you build up out of the ashes, but realistically you're just ruling over the ashes is what always happens.
Yeah.
But it's like these people don't realize what conflict looks like, and they're just like, you got to punch a Nazi in the face, and it's like you talk real tough, but it's like most of these people have never been in a fight, even a physical altercation at all in their life, and it's like what they fantasize about is so violent, and it's like, but they have no idea. They would be the person in the corner pissing their pants when some of the stuff they fantasize would kick off.
And here's the problem with it too. One thing I've noticed is that the people like you're talking about who call everyone Nazis, well, I mean, there's no limit to who they call Nazis.
Well, it's just
I mean,
anyone.
so-
You're a
if
Nazi,
you disagree, yeah, it's anyone who if you disagree with anything
so
they
which
say,
makes them
you're a
which
Nazi.
makes them the people that
it
think
makes
this.
them a Nazi.
It makes not only that, but it makes them a minority. So you're
Yeah.
you're going up against a side, quote unquote, that has way more numbers and are probably more heavily armed.
Yeah, generally,
Yeah.
and most military aren't on their side, like
Right.
they think they are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's surely some.
Oh, sure.
I'm sure there's some.
Well, I can imagine. I can imagine that you go into the military, say, for, how many ever years that you go in, but when you go there, you're red-blooded, Republican as they can be, and then seeing some of the crap that the government pulls, I could get why people would change their stances a little bit, but again,
What do you mean?
like I could Colton, for instance, last time we had him on, he talked about how he was like super Republican based off of how his parents raised him and everything.
Yeah.
And then he went into the military, and then he sees, all of the crap that the government is pulling. He's like, no, I don't want any politicians. I really can't trust the government at all. So yeah, I could see how our perspective could change, even if it's not just war in general, the state of war
Right.
itself. I get how that could change a lot of people's perspectives on life, politics, whatever.
Did for me too, man. It was a big eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
For me.
Especially when you lose at war.
Yeah,
You feel as if you did nothing there. Like
What, when like ISIS ran over the same area I was in?
No, more of when all that 20 years of fighting and then we just like, all right, we're going to bounce.
Audi. Audi
Yeah,
500.
That's a good point. I've heard people say it, but I've never really thought about that real deep. But yeah, I can't imagine being over there for a deployment and then, oh guys, we're leaving. Nothing that you guys did anything. We're just calling it. We're out. That'd be crazy. It's like, what did I fight for then? What did I do all this for?
They reached out to a bunch of veterans from that, or people who just like were in during that time to like, are you going through a tough time because of this? Like, there's a big reach out program.
Yeah.
For Afghan vets, like, you know, because there's like, yeah, by the way, you contributed nothing. Like, and that was the big feeling I got immediately when I got in, because I'm like, we're just testing like surveillance tech. That's all we're doing. We've just got this place on lockdown. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, testing what they can pull.
Just spying on everybody. I had access to a blimp with this crazy high def camera, and I could zoom in anywhere.
Yeah,
I would watch the Iraqi army guys do PT in the morning. Hilarious. And then, you know, I'd pan over and it's like, oh, what's that kid doing? It looks like he's got a gun. Oh, it might be a BB gun. It looks like he's shooting birds or something. You know, it's like that kid almost got.
Right. Yeah.
Like, he was real close.
Send a JDAM.
Right.
Oh,
but yeah,
boy.
I mean, just stuff like that. It's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
This is pointless.
Yeah. Yeah, I get how someone's perspective, especially, you know, maybe we didn't talk about it on here. I know I talked on Joey's podcast about it, but how a man is going into the military in his formidable years, you know, and normally if you're not deployed, you'd be here stateside learning how to adjust in society at your age and everything. Meanwhile, these young men are going to fight and they have to figure all of this out.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they have to rejoin society when they come back.
Well, you're also talking about 17 to 22-year-olds.
That's what I mean.
That's
yeah,
why a bunch of them would keep re-enlisting and keep asking for deployments, because
Which,
they would either be addicted to that or they'd come back here and just, you know, Joe, what's your favorite saying? Suck, start a shotgun?
Oh, that's not my favorite one. I got a couple of them.
Well, yeah, that's
it's true, man. It's horrible and it's sad because it just destroyed the psyche. Because you're like, you watch Band of Brothers and you're all gung ho and you're like, I want to do this military tradition. I want to go in and do all these things.
I have watched a few episodes, by the way.
Yeah, and then it turns into a jarhead, right? When you're over there and you're like,
well,
I didn't even shoot my rifle once.
Turns into a little bit of Jarhead, a little bit of Generation Kill.
Yeah.
It turns into like people just murdering civilians, and it's like, what are we doing here? These people had nothing to do with anything, and it's like, we've been here for so long. It's like we're the people that are in the invading force. We shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
There's no reason for us to be here. There was never a reason for us to be here. And I would argue when we even went in to get Saddam, we shouldn't have done that. But we should have left immediately afterwards and just left their freaking military up to it.
Well, that was one thing that I never understood. I mean, it was hard for me to grasp, too, is why, you know, why a lot of these young guys would just keep joining, even though they'd complain about doing this, but then they'd rejoin and then rejoin and then re-enjoy. And it's like, why are you doing it then?
Well,
but it makes sense.
It's not about the fighting, though. It's about your brotherhood.
Right.
It's the man that you're
right.
next to, like, because if you
and the lifestyle too.
The lifestyle. If as soon as you leave, once you get out, that's the last time you see that man, more than likely, right? Because you're spread around the country. You're not going to see this dude again unless you like make time to do it. So, and then it's not going to be the same. You're not in the barracks, like all that entire lifestyle that you've had for the past 4 years abruptly. Not even just like, oh, okay, I'm transitioning. It's going to take 6 months. It's like get out,
yeah,
and assimilate right now.
Yeah, and I get that too, because I mean, there is an instant bond that I imagine. I haven't been in the military, but I imagine that there is an instant bond with the people that you are deployed with, there's an instant bond there, and maybe you don't like each other for this or that reason, but there's a bond there. You're protecting each other.
And I will say too, like I had some really, really crap NCOs, right, that like just made everything hell, and they were just shit like at what they did. But some of them were like when we deployed, like were completely just changed people. Like it was wild. Like it was like a 360 flip. Like it's completely different dude, really cool, and it was just like, why aren't you this way all the time? And it's like, they're signing they're really cool, and then they go the next day to sign and re-up and get some 10 grand bonus for re-upping overseas, and it's all tax free because you did it overseas. It's it's like a game, man. It's like a way of life for some people.
What's your take on that, Caleb? You've been awfully quiet.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. That's why I've been quiet.
Okay.
Like,
I want to hear vomit of the mouth. I just want
Well,
anything that
Do you got
comes
the
to
YouTube
mind.
clip?
Yeah, what do you think? Say something. Yes, Chief.
I have nothing to relate it to, really.
Well,
so
can
like,
you? But so like, what's your
Do you have
thought?
thoughts on it?
What do you think about?
Well, if you
why do you
wanna-
think Why do you think male soldiers coming back from deployment? Why do you think that's one of the highest statistics of suicidality?
I don't know.
Well, it's not even just
like-
it's not male soldiers that come from deployment. It's actually non-combative people that never seen a deployment that kill themselves.
Okay,
Moreover than people that
that's
have.
higher than
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just a, hey, I saw combat, I'm gonna go kill myself because of that. It's
Right.
it's a, for some, I don't understand it, I don't get it, but more of, well, I kind of get it, but I honestly think it's the transition and then the loss of purpose after your transition. But like you spend, no matter what your job is in the military, your job. Cook, paralegal, 68 whiskey, which is medic. You have all of these jobs that are not even combat arms, and you spend however many years, 4, 6, 8, 12, 22, and then as soon as you get out, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You're lost. So you kill yourself, and you never even saw combat. You never saw a single dead body. You never had to hold your friend in your hands or nothing like that. But it's
I think
it's so
loss-
traumatic, and that's what.
Well,
Purpose, man.
That's it. Well, that is
I think
huge.
that's a big big reason for it, man.
Well, and think about that too. Between 18 to 24, 25, that's when you're building income. You're usually trying to build income for either a family or buying your first house, whatever the case is, And I mean, you have your sense of purpose in the military, and then when you get out, you're kind of behind the ball on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. And if you did if you joined at a good time, and you could retire technically at 37.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Full
do you
At 20 years.
get out?
Just
You know what?
that's insane to me.
I wouldn't even necessarily say you're behind the ball on that though either, because I mean,
Well, nowadays,
not all. No, but more of there. While you're in, how many years you're in, there really should be no reason that you're spending a large amount of money. Everything is pretty much squared away, right? You're living in the
that's true.
barracks.
Yeah,
You're
that's a good point.
or if you're married, right?
Well, even the
and you-
base housing is
Yeah, you got your
discounted.
base
Everything's
housing.
cheap.
You got your
discount
bond,
store on
TRICARE.
base. Yep, TRICARE. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's all.
So-
you're taken care of.
Truthfully, there's no reason unless you marry a stripper. There's no
Which
reason.
most guys do.
Yeah. There is no reason why you shouldn't be able to come out of there with some money.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that most people do, and it's not being behind on your friends that you see. I think the problem lies in you come back home and that person that they knew 4 years ago, you're not that same person. So when you go through it and you come home, that's not your best friend anymore. My best friend's still in the Army, still in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Or he's out in California while I'm in Wisconsin or something like that. So it's you feel disassociated and you don't know how to reassimilate because you don't understand the person next to you.
Yeah.
The person that you've known your entire life, you're now we're different. I don't get it. And then now you feel ostracized and you feel different and now you feel alone, and that's why
Yeah. Yeah, that's
why I
Dude,
said you got to find your purpose.
And I got a coworker that he's ex-Marines, and he opened up with me like the first time we hung out. It got pretty deep. It was kind of wild. I was like, oh man, this guy's all about how his some issues he's had. And he's like, oh, most Marines generally have issues. It's kind of joking. Because we can banter back and forth being vets, both of us young. He was younger than I was.
sure.
And he mentioned the other day about how well, I guess just backtrack a little bit. He keeps in touch with a bunch of other vet buddies. Like he's one of those guys that I guess a bunch of people reach out to, so he makes himself available.
Yep.
And then he was telling me the other day, he goes, man, I had a real rough night, and he's kept up because someone reached out because he was like, having a rough time when, being pretty suicidal with his,
Yeah.
intentions there in the text messages. So
Sure.
obviously turned into a long night for dude because he's obviously not going to just
Hang up on the guy.
hang up on the guy, right?
Yeah.
So, there's people out there that generally recognize, and I feel like some of these younger crowd, kind of get it, whereas we had to we were the ones that were got the red pill,
Yeah, I could see that.
kind of forced on us.
Yeah.
And then it's I think it was up to us to kind of hand that off to the younger generation, which we were taught not to do because we were taught that we're better than the younger generation with the school system the way it is and everything else, a tiered, you're older, you're better than, versus you should be imparting wisdom, which is probably what school used to be, help the youngers.
Yeah.
Which some schools are, don't get me wrong, not all schools are bad. There's good teachers out there for sure.
Yeah. Well, because we're on this train, what I would say is don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah.
If you're in a downtime, if you're feeling down and you want to commit the old seppuku or Sudoku, reach out to somebody and get what's done. Don't take the Remington retirement plan.
No. It's a bad one.
Don't paint the walls.
Jesus.
Don't pop confetti. What else can I say?
Very bad. And it's all very true, man. Because look, you're harming all the people that care about you. There's a ton of people that care about you, and if you just reached out, you'd figure that out real quick.
Yeah, the way that I've always thought of depression is that you are not ending your suffering. You are pushing your suffering onto somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
So now they're suffering because of what you've done.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, when the religious look on suicide is why you're going to hell is because of that. You're causing suffering to others.
That's depending on, your
Some religions would say
because I don't believe that committing suicide, in the Lutheran Church, who are we to judge? There's no way for we to know that because I or whomever here in this room commits suicide, they're going straight to hell and they're getting sodomized while they're down there. There's no reason for me to believe that. There's no reason for me to believe that in their final moments when they committed suicide, they felt remorse and regret and they had abstinence of their sins and they're actually in heaven, even though they committed the ultimate sin with quotations.
Yeah, that's
Possibly.
good point. Yeah.
You don't know, right? What happens in that flash moment?
Right. Well, and there's people too.
But you're still
we talked about this too.
Suffering to others.
Yeah, sure.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm getting that part. I just didn't agree with it calling it. You're going straight to hell for committing suicide.
Yeah.
There are some Christian denominations that do believe that. Don't get me wrong. There are, but I think we talked about this on Joey's podcast one time too. But it's interesting.
Podcast? Which
podcast
what's
is
that
podcast?
The Midwestern Goodbye podcast.
That's factually incorrect.
Yeah.
Let's try it again. Take two.
Take two. Try it again.
The Midwestern.
No.
The Midwest Goodbye podcast.
With
This freaking
with
Huh?
with
Joey and Colton.
hey.
jeez.
But anyway,
Midwestern.
we talked on your podcast too. One of the interesting things, they have groups that are for suicide survivors. One of them being one of the big advocates jumped off the bridge, a Golden Gate Bridge, and he said that it's remarkable that when he sits down with these groups, the first thing that everyone says is they regretted as soon as they stepped off of that ledge. It was instant regret. And Golden Gate Bridge, I think we figured it would be about 8 seconds of falling. In those 8 seconds,
crazy.
it's 8 seconds of pure regret and knowing what is going to happen. It's like it's crazy to think about. And so I mean that gives a little bit of credence to who am I to judge what was going through their minds after they decided to do what they did.
Yeah, and if you believe like the life flashing before your eyes, right? Like that, that split second it took for me to shoot myself in the head, it might have actually been like 10 minutes of me being like the mind going through it, like a feeling of 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. So I think we looked at statistics too.
Oh, we brought up a lot of statistics.
Yeah.
Have you talked about suicide on your podcast, Caleb?
No,
Which is
the Kindling Conversations podcast.
There you go. Go check that one out.
You're the host, right?
Yes, I
The
am.
main mancho.
There
Sure.
you go.
Sure.
That would be
We have 4 hosts.
Well, I mean, you have to create a tier system. Obviously, there.
So you're
Yeah.
the
who
host.
bought the equipment.
I did.
You're the
I'm
host.
You're the host.
Yeah. Executive producer, I like to call it.
There you go.
Just because I like the word executive.
Executive,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Just be the executive host.
The executive host. I
But,
like it.
uh,
Have you thought about bringing that up in a conversation?
Yes.
That's
I
a
think
good
It's been
conversation.
something we've thrown out. I think we're still trying to get our footing down in our podcast. So, like, it's coming. It's definitely going to be a topic of conversation.
So you're gonna have me on that episode, or
Maybe. I don't know. You really want to be on our episode?
I'm just saying, like, you've already heard the way I talk about suicide. I feel
I know.
like I'm very a strong advocate in that.
Well, it is. I
It's
will
got some
say.
funny sayings about
See,
it.
you know what I think is kind of funny with Joey?
whoa,
What's that?
whoa.
Oh,
Is Joey is this, like, big macho dude is what I would define. Not really big macho, but, like,
That little twink.
he's kind of an asshole.
Okay.
But when it comes to suicide, like, I would expect Joey to be like, "Wow, you're a piece of shit. You should do it." Like, that's just kind of the type of person I think Joey is. But when it comes down to it, it's not.
Deep. That was deep.
Damn.
I know.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
damn.
Like,
Hashtag deep.
I'm just saying.
man, you guys
like,
need
I
to
think
hug it out
that's-
after that. I feel like there needs to be a hug.
No, I
Well,
just.
I will say what needs to happen more is it's something that does need to be talked about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Suicide in general, because realistically, I mean, what did we find in those statistics? It's more than it's ever been, right? Nowadays, in the last
Well, the saying in the military culture, I'm unsure about like the United States population or even the world population, but in the veteran community or active duty type of stuff, it's called 22 a day. You've heard of this, right,
Yep.
Kyle?
Yeah.
22 a day. It signifies that 22 veterans or active military members kill themselves per day on average. However, the saying stays strong. It makes its purpose, but unfortunately, it's no longer 22 a day. It's more of like 44, 45
Yeah.
per day, which is that's high. That's very high, right?
Yeah.
It's
I mean, what-
insanely high.
I mean,
These are
what's-
the people that I feel like would protect us
What's
in any
40
sort of civil unrest.
What's 44 times 365? Who's got a calculator on them, right quick?
you're the Asian. God, I'll look it up.
44 times 365.
Damn.
16,060.
Yeah, so almost 16,100 people are
Yeah.
veterans.
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
only
just
veterans
Yeah.
that are killing themselves. And of those, it's about, I think if I remember the statistic correctly, it's about a 60-40 split. So 60% are male and 40% are female
Yeah.
of doing that. And that's
That would probably track with the.
Civilians. ridiculous.
Actually, that's ridiculously high for females.
Oh yeah, the number is quite high.
Well, and I think in the same statistics as well, that there was a big difference between veteran women and civilian women, wasn't there?
I mean, there was a big difference in both categories,
Yeah,
whether it's
between
veteran men
yeah.
and civilian men, and so because you talk about the veteran community, which is 1% of the United States,
Yeah.
and they take up the majority of the suicides of here, which is not cool. to
Well,
say
even
the
if it
least.
wasn't
it's
the
not.
majority, I mean, even if it was 25% of all the suicides and they only make up 1% of the population, that's insane. That's insane. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think it gets talked about enough because I think people nowadays are worried about bringing it up to other people that have maybe heard about suicide or have had a suicide in the family or something like that. And
Yeah.
I think people are trying to be sensitive towards that, but at the same time, you know, if we don't talk about these things, we can't learn how to try to fix them. And so saying things like, you know, reach out, you know, all of that kind of stuff that needs to be said.
Well, that's why I got hyper specific on my podcast where I was talking about specifically the male suicide in the veteran culture, but it also entangles just men's suicide in general, right? So like a lot of people, if Kyle, right, like Kyle walks up to me and he says, "Hey man, I'm going through a rough time. I want to fucking commit, Sudoku."
Yeah. Do the puzzle.
Yeah, he's gonna, and a lot of people will be like, "All right, suck it up, dude. I don't care.
Yeah.
You're a man. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps
Yeah.
and keep carrying on." Which sometimes that's the correct answer, but it depends on
really
the person.
right?
But you typically, if a person is coming to you about that type of information, you would already know how to talk to them in that type of case.
Well, it's a good chance you're the first hearing about it.
Yeah, or they might not even say it in that manner, right? They're like, "Oh, well, here's my hey man, I don't have any use for this anymore. Here's my phone. I don't need this anymore." Or like, "Hey man, I know you're really into bikes, so you can just have my bike." They're just starting giving away their possessions. They're not gonna outright say it, or their random cries out for help on the social media platform because they're crying out for help, but they don't want to outright say it. So they're just saying stuff. They're just saying random things on there that is a cry for help. But when you get down to the nitty gritty and you confront them, they're like, "No, dude, I'm good. What are you talking about? I'm all right."
But that's because that's the way we have to be.
Yeah, and that's I'm talking specifically men here.
Yes,
not
specifically men. Yes, that's the way we have to be.
Yeah.
Because you can probably throw a coin into a group of men and
I'm picking it up because I'm a Jew.
What was your point there?
But
What kind of coin?
But
Is it like a 5-cent silver?
a penny.
Okay, what kind? Wheat penny?
If it's a 1943 copper penny and it was supposed to be steel, that's worth a lot of money, Caleb.
Okay, then that's the one, I guess.
I'm picking that penny up. Oh, you guys want to kill yourself? Guess what? Don't care. Penny's mine.
There's the Joey we know.
The point I was trying to get at, and I was doing it in a very bad way, actually.
Okay.
So if you just asked a general question in front of a group of guys, right? The question of like, how are you feeling, right?
Yeah.
Today?
I'm good.
Through a penny or something like that, and like it hits a guy, and that's the guy that has to answer. Most likely the answer you're going to get is no one cares or I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Or it's going to be, it's probably going to be something like, even less than that, it's probably going to be something like, whatever, I'm good. I'm good. Whatever, I'm good. And I think a lot of the thing too is, I might get hate for this. I don't know. I think men in general, they don't want to burden other people with their problems.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that men have characteristically different than women, is they don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to burden others with their problems. And it's
but it's because I feel like that's just how it's That's the stigma behind being a man.
Yeah.
Is you can't.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, men don't want to show other men that they have emotion because you're seen as weak then.
Yeah.
Men certainly don't want to show weakness around a woman
Right.
because then they're seen as weak and they're seen as, less of a man, I guess you'll say.
Yeah, that's just the best way to put it.
Yeah. So there is something to be said. And honestly, I think one of the big things too is I advocated for this when I was on his podcast about this subject. Men need time with other men specifically. It's, you can have your family time, and it's not that that's just not as important No.
Oh, not those type of men.
No.
Not those type of men.
But I think that there does need to be, things like what we're doing right now. If it's just recording a podcast, whatever it is, I think there needs to be, men have to have specific time carved out somewhere in their life with other men, because then, we can let our guard down a little bit more with our friends versus sometimes our wives, women, girlfriends, whatever.
Well, it can be more of a better understanding of it. And
Yeah,
I don't know
that's better.
I don't know if you guys had already said it or not, but not all women, I'm not saying that I'm not being misogynistic in my saying here, but
Yeah.
a lot of the times when they say, no, I won't be mad if you cry in front of me. Like, no, I'm not going to see you lesser as a person.
Until you do.
And then you get vulnerable with them and you break down and something happens and now you're crying in front of them and they're like, wow, what a little, wow, this guy over here.
I thought I married a man.
Yeah, let me go grab your Remington, bro. Like, geez.
Damn.
Yeah, it is wild. And,
There's probably only a few good girls out there, man, to be honest.
yeah, probably.
few.
Probably.
Good
And,
luck.
I mean,
There's a bunch of demons out there, succubuses, like South Park.
Yeah, Caleb,
Told us.
we're in a bad boat, sounds like.
I honestly, hey, I will
Sorry,
tell
guys.
you,
You're still single, right?
Yeah.
I will tell you
no.
guys, I do feel bad for the dating market nowadays.
That's exactly what I want to say. How do you guys date? Like, what? How's it even a thing? Like, what do you? Is it just Tinder? Is the
there's-
bar scene even a thing? Like, what is what
there's
do you do?
multiple.
You have multiple routes now.
As in, like,
But they're all, like,
as in,
digital, right?
As in dating apps, yes, you have multiple routes.
Well-
I would say the bar scenes can be difficult. Mostly,
It almost have to be a very specific like event that's being put on by the bar
yeah.
at this
well,
point.
not
Yeah.
even just
You
that,
can.
but
You don't want to bring a regular home from the bar that you see there every
yeah. Well, let me
every night at
let me-
5 o'clock.
let me put it this way: like, when I go to the bar, I'm not going to the bar to hook up with someone or like
Right.
Yeah.
find my one true love, right? Or like
I'm
even
going for
out
cheese curds.
at cheese curds.
beer.
But I have met some women at the bar. I'm like, oh, I was just at the bar, and then we just started jiving, right? And like, oh, okay,
Sure.
I'm not going to. I'm going there to drink and have fun.
It was an added extra for you.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, bet. I guess this
Bet.
happens.
He says.
I'm sure there are people that go out there and can accomplish the task, but we're also in a small city. The demographics are
Yeah.
skewed. So
Yeah, I kind of think back to it's like, man, if you really didn't meet anyone in school,
that's why I'm betting on this 10-year anniversary.
Oh, your 10-year reunion's coming
Yeah.
up? Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta
Reunions
rekindle.
next year, isn't it?
I haven't gone
I gotta
to
rekindle
one
some
of those.
flames.
Have you
Yeah.
gone to those?
No, our 10 years coming up next year.
Is that the only one?
Yeah.
Well, you
we
get your
didn't have
10.
a 5-year.
Yeah, no 5 years.
That's
It's like
crazy.
the 10, 20,
My-
30
I
plus.
had my 10-year then already. It passed.
Well, yeah, but my 10-year reunion was 2020. So,
Did you go?
no.
It was
Probably
2020.
No one got
Everybody had masks on.
No, but they didn't have it. They just canceled it.
The lost
But
generation.
yeah, I
there you
can't.
go.
I honestly can't imagine trying to date right now.
It's
I mean,
hard.
I'm really happy that I found who I did when I did.
Well,
Yeah, it's very difficult because mostly it's a at will basis or a immediate basis as well.
yeah.
It's very look based. It's not
Oh, yeah.
personality based. And then the individuals that you do find and you match with, you're like, oh, she's pretty cute. I could probably jive with her type of stuff. And then you figure out that she doesn't know how to text, man. She doesn't know how to communicate.
I don't even care about texting. You know what I've noticed? And like my most recent experience was,
Was she hot?
eh,
He was like, I'm just shooting at the walls.
no,
what sticks.
we texted great. Like we could probably text all day, every day.
Ooh,
and
but
then
in person, yeah.
it was
Oh.
like, it was so hard to keep a conversation going.
I
so
think
hard.
Well, my
Interesting.
problem, I think, I can be off-putting when I go on dates is that I ask a lot of questions, right? Because I'm trying to get to know the person because I've never seen this person in my life, right? So I'm trying to, one, break the ice with it, but then also get to know this person in the same instance. So the problem that I have with there are some that were better than others, like with banter, right? And I banter a lot, but I'll go through and ask a question, and then she'll answer, and then that's it.
Yes.
Like no continuation. She's not like,
I hate that, man.
She's not like, oh, if I say, hey, what's your favorite color? She's not, oh yeah, this is this. Oh, you, and then she'll also ask another question on top of that. Oh, what's your favorite, building or something like that.
What's
Like,
your
there's
favorite
no
Or it's just very
favorite movie. It's
very
if you're talking
one-sided,
about
too.
buildings on dates, I think that's probably the reason.
Well, no, man.
yeah,
Like,
well, it's obviously the World Trade Center.
so what about Building 7?
yeah.
So
Do you think
I get what you're saying because it's not just that's not with just the dating scene. That's the younger generation.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I've been training people and I'm trying to not be
Yeah.
bored and like, hey, be personable. Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you a weirdo? Like, talk,
Yep.
man. You
Well,
know, like
there's-
when I'm trying to get someone to talk
Yeah.
and it's like they're just like exactly like that. You like try to get them like maybe this is open ended. No,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they-
No, well,
they-
you expect some, especially when you're trying to get to know somebody. You expect some reciprocity on some of these questions. You know,
Yeah.
you expect them to want to know about you and ask you questions.
I know big word.
The problem is these conversations are very one-sided. It's
Yeah.
like you
That-
ask them a
right.
question.
That's my point. Yeah.
exactly.
Do they
So,
give you an answer? They don't even care to ask you.
let me ask.
You don't even get the
Yeah.
you.
The one
You-
syllable word.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going down
They
the
just
train.
look at you like they're stupid. They're like,
Yeah.
We're going
Man.
down the train of dating, right? And this kind of pertains to only
all right, back
Caleb
to
and
the
I
dating.
here.
Right.
What do you think? Because we can't just sit here and say that the women that we're going on these dates with are the problem. What do you think you're falling short in? What do you think that's
Yeah,
off-putting?
what sucks about you?
Yeah, what do you
Fat.
think is? I mean, that's a good.
That is one.
that's
honestly,
a good answer. Honestly,
that
I
is
think
like
it's a good answer.
self-confidence wise. Like if I were to slim down, that's the thing.
So
is
why
I
don't
have
you?
no self-confidence. I have no confidence.
You would if you slim
But
down.
if I
bet.
slim down, I think
Well, the
I
thing
would
is-
gain some confidence.
The thing is, where you're at, you wouldn't necessarily slim down. You would bulk up. So you would be some swole dude if you started just hitting the gym and lifting every day. Or,
Depends
even
on how-
5 days a week.
It
or
depends on
2
what he
days a
does,
week.
right? So if he decides to go on a diet, he's in a calorie deficit for a constant basis. He's going to lose weight more than he's going to bulk
Probably
up.
do some cardio.
But it depends on how he decides to train. But you're talking about your self-confidence with women. Why don't you? And you're talking about being overweight. Why don't you make that change immediately?
it's hard.
Yeah, but nothing in life comes easy, right?
I see where this is going. But I do want to stick to the dating thing because I'm no. Here's the thing. We'll get into that
Look.
because I'm a part of that too.
No,
and I'll answer right
Caleb
along
just
with
brought
Caleb.
up a good point, though. It's hard, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to maintain that goal of weight. Look, difficult tasks are something that men that's something that we should strive for. That is something that we should look for. You know,
I would
if you're
say
gonna
that's where
tackle-
males thrive more
yeah,
too. Yeah.
and with today's day and age, man, you can YouTube video anything and find out how to do it, and it's super cool to do your own car repair and just be just watch the YouTube video and I figured it, and it's
Yeah.
I got it, or whatever, doing something to your house, and just doing it yourself instead of hiring someone to come do it for you or whatever else.
Well, on a recent episode that hasn't released yet, Caleb, I talked about you about going to the gym. We
That's fine.
Yeah, well, I could talk about
That's
how
fine.
you
I'm
were
a piece
going
of
in
shit.
and you kind of gave up. But the reason I got into it with Colton, because I was kind of like, I was trying to motivate you to do stuff, and you talked to every time that when we were in the gym, you would decide to do the simple tasks, right?
Yep.
Let me go take these 15-pound dumbbells and curl those. When I know, Caleb, you can do more. Why are you not? Why aren't you pushing yourself?
How
right
many
now?
reps did you do? Like, how many did you do with those 15-pounders?
It was 10 to 12.
Yeah,
Did you then jump to the 20s?
Joey
sometimes.
told me to, and so sometimes
Yeah.
I would. But
Well,
if
see,
Joey
you
was
should always
if Joey was
progress.
watching,
Well, the
yes.
thing is, I had to push him
Yes.
to do what was right for him.
Sometimes people just need to be pushed, man.
Yeah,
that's
that's what I'm-
where personal trainers get their money. Like, that's their bread and butter.
Well, that's what
why
I'm.
they
That's what I'm
exist.
getting at is that Caleb will more than easily do the simple task, like, oh, let me take this lat pull down and only do 60 pounds, and it's super easy. I'm not even gonna break a sweat the entire thing.
Well,
Whereas, why not go to my 120 and I instead of being able to get 12 reps with the 60 very easily and no problem, why not jump to the I'm dramatically going to 120.
Yeah.
But why not go to the 120 and only be able to get 4 reps?
No, see, like what
Because
you're gonna
you
be
know
doing,
it's going to be it's going to be hard.
instead of doing 12 reps with, if you want to do a lighter weight, because you can do that, you just need to increase your reps. So do 24.
Yeah, but it's easy to do 10 to 12.
It's a lot easier
Well,
to
there-
keep going though too.
There
You
is
just
a
keep sitting down there and you just keep fucking pulling.
well there's a point of diminishing returns. That's why they say to stick within 8 to 12 reps of your numbers. Because like if I just curl 5 pounds 200 times, right? Like
Yeah, but-
I'm endurancing my muscles, but I'm not really getting that
Joey,
strength in it.
that's min-maxing your muscle building though. That's not happening all the time. Like that,
why
like I
wouldn't
get
it
what you're
happen
saying
all
with the
time?
diminishing returns and stuff. Like, yes, when you're at a point where you need to like pound Big Macs to bulk up, yes, you are correct. But like when you're at a point where you're just entering it, like dude can start off at whatever. You gradually will increase, but doing 24 reps at 60, then just like doing 65 the next time and doing 24 reps at 65, it's going to feel the same. The exact same. And it's just a way to get someone into it. Like you can fine tune them later on, but if you find something that works with someone else, everything's personal to someone, like that. A personal trainer finds like a plan for someone by like spending that time with them and getting them to go through the program.
Well,
It's like, all right,
this
these
is
are
one
your
thing I
strengths
can
and
tell you.
weaknesses.
Caleb is not going to do 24 reps.
All right, 20.
No, he's not gonna do 20 either. I know Caleb well enough in the gym, and I know I'm speaking for him right now, and he's very quiet because he knows I'm right. He's not going.
He's now smiling.
It does not matter. It does not matter the weight. He is not going to do
He's now saying
24
well.
reps. He will do 12. Max 15.
Well, I did do 20 of
Well-
the little, I don't know what you sat down. It was leg day. I don't know what it's called.
But I mean, there is something to it. You just increase the reps, and if you want to keep the lower weight, but
Sure.
you definitely need to gradually increase it.
Sure.
That's
You
the
know what
point.
I need, though, honestly, in the gym? I need a personal trainer because they're going to be like watching what I'm doing pretty much. And that's what I need.
Oh,
I
But
will
I
say,
don't have the money
let me say something
for a
too.
personal trainer.
So we've completely derailed into fitness now too, which I'm fine with. We can have that conversation, but I still do want it to come back to the dating after
Why?
that. But because I'm genuinely interested. But
he just wants to go. Oh,
I will
you
say-
don't get no girls, bro?
no, no.
No, I don't. I can already tell you that.
What's interesting,
Oh,
I just would like to
come
get the
on.
firsthand experience of dating nowadays. That's all I wanted. I'm interested
well,
in. But
I think we're getting it. It's all digital. It's all on your phone.
we'll
which
get
is-
into it. I've got
sounds
questions,
horrible.
but we're on fitness right now. So I think
Oh,
one of the things we're still on fitness.
Okay,
We
I
just
thought
ta-
you were trying to
zeroed
steer
in.
us, though.
No.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about fitness right now,
Okay, we're back. We're back to fitness, guys.
the whole fitness thing, I think one of the big problems with, and I can say this for myself too because I haven't been to a gym in years, but
High school.
no, well, it's been more recently than that for me.
Where?
He got out
But-
of all those too.
Yeah, dude, I was working.
I
I was
love gym
I was
class.
in a gym.
Did you see me in high school? Did you ever? Have you ever seen
No.
pictures? I was.
I know you were
very
thinner.
thin,
Yeah.
very thin. But anyway,
Not very.
I said thinner too.
but
Look
anyway,
at him.
I was very thin in high school
very
compared to what
thin.
I am now.
anyway,
I mean, yeah, you're
True.
I think one of the biggest reasons
Yeah,
that a
I
lot
would-
of I think one of the biggest reasons that getting someone into the gym and actually getting them to do, the correct thing, a lot of people don't have. I'll speak for myself. I don't have the confidence to go in there and know exactly what to do, and not be. It's
just
not
need a
about
friend,
being
man.
judged. It's not about being judged, but I don't have the confidence to go in and just be like, okay, I'm going to curl this amount, because there's always so many things out there, all these fitness things that you see on Facebook or even outside of Facebook, but other people trying to tell you should do
Yeah.
this, you should do that. You don't know if you're going in there and like, okay, well, I know maybe I shouldn't do 30 reps of this weight. Maybe I should only do 10, or am I hurting my muscles or whatever, there's a lack of confidence there where I don't know what to do. And so a personal trainer can add to that.
Why don't we just
But
take
at
these
the
guys
same
to the
time
gym,
though,
dude?
but
It's
that's the
not
thing
hard.
too.
It's really not hard. I
You're-
think
you're right,
maybe
but-
there's too much information then.
But yeah, that's what I'm
you're
saying.
arguing.
That's kind of what I am saying, because there's so
But-
much information. Everyone's saying, oh, look at dieting. Dieting itself. How many
I'd say just
different things?
I'd say for dieting, do the carnivore for like a couple weeks. Start off there, kind of
I don't-
reset your system
see-
with the
No,
carnivore diet.
you know what I say about dieting? Portion control.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
I think
That's
that
how
is-
you should be
yeah.
dieting
That's
no
what I'm-
matter what. Eat whatever you want. I don't care. But you should be eating it. Oh, am I going to eat this entire tub of ice cream? That's 4,000 calories. No, I'm going to eat 1 or 2 scoops that are only 300 calories while I eat the other meals throughout the day that are maybe accumulating 2,100
Yeah.
calories. So I've overall had 2,500 calories to offset or something along those lines. Like it's all portion control. I don't believe in dieting. It's just portion control. I don't care if it's keto. I don't
Well,
care if it's this carnivore diet. There's no
Realistically, though,
dieting is a lifestyle. You can't just
It
eat
is.
something and then stop and be like, oh, I'm good.
but I will say there are certain things you can cut out of your diet that will significantly improve
Oh,
your health.
sure.
If
Yeah.
you stop drinking soda,
You're going to see change.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
You feel so much better.
Yeah.
To Zach's point, though, about not having the confidence to go into a gym, you think I had the confidence of going into the gym and knowing what I wanted, what I had to do? Hell no.
Yeah.
But I went with Joey, and Joey had no problem, at least he made it seem like no problem, showing me.
I just broke down my entire routine.
Yeah.
But why? Okay. But why aren't you still going then? That's what I'm saying.
Because
that
I'm
is
a lazy piece
that's
of
a
shit.
motivation thing, right? So you and
Then why do you need a personal trainer?
to stay motivated.
To stay
I guess.
motivated.
Why
But
can't Joey?
Why
motivate
can't
you?
Joey keep you motivated?
because he doesn't
That's
like
my
the way
we
I
point.
talk
reached
to
a
him.
point where Joey's like, no, you know how to do this stuff. I'm done showing you.
Oh, so he's trying to. He showed.
He
you
showed
how to
me.
fish.
He showed me for like a month or two.
But you
But
refuse
at
to
a
catch
point-
your own fish.
Well, I showed him everything that's in my routine.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
in the middle of my workout and stuff, and he would come to me like, "Well, what do I do next?"
Why don't you just follow him when you guys go together? Just go do the same things he's doing at the same time.
Maybe not necessarily the same weight.
Well,
amount,
obviously
but-
not the same
No,
way.
it's more
but-
of a he like being inconsistent on my days. So I have very specific days. My
I
Mondays
see.
are back and buys. My Tuesdays are chest and tries. My Wednesdays are my hamstrings, and stuff like my lower body.
I never got
Then
like
then
that.
my Thursdays are shoulders, and then my Fridays are my like quads and calves. So I'm very specific on how I work
So
out.
I would need to consistently go every day, which Joey knows is not going to happen.
Yeah. See, so like, yeah, your routine's just not going to work for him.
Right. But
Which I'm
It
not.
got
I'm not.
to a
I'm not pooping
He
on that.
he needs just if what
it
what's
got
your
to a point though where
yeah.
I was going up to Joey and like, what do I do now? And Joey was just like, One of the million things I've fucking shown you. Do something. Don't give a fuck.
How
what.
often were you going? Or like able to go like reasonably?
Anywhere
3?
between 1 to 3 days a week.
1 to 3 days. So like
On average, it'd be, I would say 2 to 3.
Yeah, you just pick then, man. You like, I'm going to do arms, chest, and then legs, you know?
Right.
Do a little bit of cardio on all 3 days.
Sounds
Well, if you are going 3 days a week, it is what you should be doing. And I guess I shouldn't say should. One of the good routines is a push-pull legs day. As in like, because if you're only going 3 days, you do all your push workouts, which is you're going to be your push, your tricep push downs, your
Buys,
tricep
your
push
tries,
downs.
you're
Not
gonna-
buys, because buys are your pulls, because you're pulling the stuff. So your pushes are going to be your chest presses, your triceps, that type of your shoulder, your pressing, stuff like that. And then you have your push day, then your press day, push pull, and then your legs day. So if you're going 3 days a day, that's how I would recommend.
That's generally what I do. Because I mean, like all I have, like when COVID happened, like I bought one of those vertical knee raise bars, so you can. It's got like the pad on the back and like the armrests, and I can lift my knees up and do knee raises,
He just has a
leg
Peloton.
raises. No, I don't do Peloton. I can do dips,
You go, girl.
chin ups, pull ups, all those wide, thin, whatever. And then I do have a spin bike. It's like a legit spin bike from like a YMCA fitness club. But I don't do that because those bicycle seats hurt my ass horribly bad. And I cannot stand it. And I don't understand how anybody can handle that.
You gotta
that
start
little
working on your
tiny
butt.
seat. Whatever.
Gotta work on your glutes.
My glutes are fine. Look, but that seat is horrible. That seat is misdesigned.
Let me see that dump truck.
No, I'm comfy.
I don't know. I think one of my things is, and again, I don't want. This always comes off as an excuse, right? But I think it's
anything that honestly,
Excuses.
anything that you're gonna give me is an excuse, and you should
I will
start. You
say-
should preface that as well.
I will say that
I've come to terms with it.
yeah. Well, I know it's an excuse because I see people in my similar situation that can do it, go to the gym. It does make it a little bit more difficult. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is it's more difficult to find somebody that I can go with to help me hold that accountability when I have a schedule that is not necessarily going to jive with everybody's. You know what I mean?
Sure.
In other words, I've got the family goings-ons. I can't just at the drop of a hat say, okay, it's 7:30 at night, I'm going to go to the gym like a lot of other guys
Should
can.
probably schedule that stuff up, man.
Right, and I understand that, and that's where
'Cause,
that's where the excuse comes
We
in.
both have families.
Right.
Why haven't you ever reached out to me? If you ever reached out to me like, hey man, I really think I want to try to get a gym regimen. I think you'd be a good guy to go with, which I would be, because I would hold your hand through all these exercises because I don't lift heavy. I'm one of those guys that knocks out a bunch of reps at lower weights.
Yeah,
but
and that's
I just bulk up really fast.
well,
I'm a
it's
freak
an
of nature.
excuse still, right? It's still an excuse.
It is
but
an excuse because all you had to do was ask, man.
Yeah, I get it, right? But again, it also transitions into like it's a whole new. It is a lifestyle change, right? And that is. I fully
For the
acknowledge
better.
that. Yeah, I understand that, and I acknowledge that, but
like-
it's scary. It is
Well,
scary because
I get that, but imagine, if
I've
you will,
got-
I want to put a hypothetical out there.
okay.
It's an election year, 2024. We've had a bunch of crazy conspiracy theories, a bunch of solar eclipses, earthquakes, and weird goings-ons, different weird stuff.
And it's
all
only
coincident.
April.
It's only April. We have a lot of time to go yet, right? Say it that towards the end of this year, we go under martial lockdown because World War III gets declared. And hey, come to find out, all these new military members are actually these new immigrants that have been coming across the border in mass. And we had no clue that they were actually all trained up and ready to go, right?
How is this a
They're now-
hypothetical at this
listen,
point? This is
So now they're all martial lawing us, right? And now you look like you,
right,
and you're supposed to protect your family
right.
against this tyranny that's happening to our country.
Yeah, I get it.
How would you feel if you... all right. Like, I kind of feel like a challenge. It's like it needs to be placed. We need to challenge ourselves to be the best men we can be.
Sure.
To protect the women and children in our lives, to protect the people in our lives, to help each other. And I feel like if we don't just make these simple steps on fitness is something so easy. Portion control. You know, yeah, you don't have to get a crazy keto diet. You don't have to fill your, your freezer up with steaks. I know I kind of mentioned that earlier. I mentioned it. It's a good reset to your diet versus intermittent fasting, where you can end up getting yourself all sick and stuff. It's just a good reset. Doing the meat thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, where was I going with this? Damn, I got that.
This is your hypothetical.
All right, so all right, exactly. We need to get in this challenge of being the best men we can be because of this. These situations that we're facing have never been more potentially in this phase than any other human existence in American life, right? So all I'm saying is if you need to run with your family, you're not outrunning anybody. You're going to end up being the human shield, and then they're up to the masses. Who's going to take care of them? I think everybody should take that into consideration.
And I have. That's definitely something that I've thought about. And it's not that it's not that it's not a motivation for me to go to a gym. It's not that it's not something that's been on my mind. I've thought about those things.
So that makes me ask, because this pertains to both of you, Caleb and Zach, because I've heard your motivations as to why you would want to get in the gym, and you say, I think about these things, I think about them, but why haven't you put them into action?
What's stopping you?
What's stopping me? Well, I could sit here and list.
Yeah, I know you can list everything, but just
Right.
like when you talked about I want to set a particular plan. I need to go to the gym at 7 p.m. or something like that. Why not
7 pp.
Why not just whenever I can. Oh, I have time right now. Okay, I'm going to go to the gym. It's 3 p.m. I'm going to go hit up the gym. Oh, the next day, it's 7 p.m. I'm going to go hit up the gym. Why does it have to be a particular time at this time every single day I have to hit it?
Because
that's what I do, but that's because I have the availability of doing that.
Yeah.
But where you're talking about, I don't have the availability to set a very specific time to do it, that means that you have to be flexible. So why aren't you being flexible, and you're pigeonholing yourself into I have to do it at this particular time every single day?
Because the reason I would have to do that is because I have responsibilities so for instance, I get done with work at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock sometimes. I have the responsibility of going home, taking care of the family, making sure food's done, making sure that my wife is able to do her things that she needs to do. I have those responsibilities, and I do not want to just walk out on my family.
That's why I'm saying very specifically you have to be flexible. Because if you're setting a very particular time, 7 p.m. is my time, that means that you are walking out on your family.
No.
At 7 p.m. I gotta go.
Why don't you just then
go in the morning?
Yeah.
No, not even go in the morning, but I said, whenever you can. When you have the time to do so.
But
because
he
here's
just
the
told
thing,
you,
if
his
I'm not,
whole night and everything.
If I'm not,
put it this way.
If I'm not going at 5 a.m. before I go to work, I'm not going to do it once I get home from work.
See,
that's my point. Because I'm not going to.
There's tons of gyms that you can do that.
I get it.
24-hour gyms that you can do that.
So that begs the question. Okay, well, why aren't you going at 5 a.m.?
Or why don't you buy a vertical knee raise bar and just do some chin-ups, dips, pull-ups, and push-ups?
Well, now we're talking about spending money that I don't have.
Look, I'm telling you, these things are not expensive.
You're talking about spending $40 max.
Yeah, these are the cheapest thing. That's why I'm saying it's such a good piece of equipment. It is extremely cheap. They make them for people in apartment living, so they're small and they don't take up a lot of space.
Calisthenics are a fantastic way of losing weight, especially when you are of the heavier set individual.
Dude, I make my kids just hang too. Like grip strength.
From what? From what?
The pull-up bar.
No, dude, I thought we had a
Stop
New Orleans accent on our. Woo! Oh man, I thought we were.
Yeah, I will say, I would be much more motivated to if I could get some equipment that I knew how to handle and I could do every morning. I'd be much more apt to do stuff at
Well,
home.
Then why don't you?
I mean, you do know somebody who has a little bit of a connection to the fitness. We did just get a treadmill.
See,
Like
treadmills, I could bang out.
treadmills are awesome.
I used to love running.
And running is great for you. I mean, dude, just doing that.
Walking is great for you.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
And just taking you have kids.
Yep.
Just taking them out for
and we
walks.
do when
Yeah.
it's nice out like this.
Exactly,
We
yeah.
do. Yeah.
I really want to get a bike, and I want to like start biking to work and stuff. And I know that's probably not the like best workout, but it's something.
It's
No,
something.
man.
It's
I used to
something.
do that too.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, if I see you on a bike, I want to hit you with my vehicle. I hate bikeless
That's fine.
cyclists.
Cyclists.
I don't need
I
you to-
hate them
I
so
don't
But
much.
need
what
you to
about
like
just
'em.
someone on a mountain bike just riding their mountain
No,
bike?
hold
If
on.
they're on trails, golden. Don't care. You're awesome. If you're
Oh,
on
you
the-
just
if you-
hate kids on bicycles?
No, kids are fine. But if I see some dude in spandex or something like
Oh.
that,
Well,
and
That's
no,
not,
not
what
even,
I'm
I don't
talking
think
about.
that's
I would
what-
never do
not
that.
even
I don't
just-
think that's what he's
No,
talking
that's
about
not what
either.
he's doing. But
No.
I'm getting hyper specific. But at
Yeah.
the same time,
I don't
if
like those people
If I
either.
see an adult on a bike in the road and he seems that he commands the road, guess what? I want to run you off.
Aren't you
Oh.
in Madison all the time?
Yeah, I know. That's the reason.
see,
Well-
and I wouldn't do that. Like, I
Right.
would be specific about finding a bike path and like, you know what I mean? Like, I have a bike path that pretty much goes straight to work from where I live.
Okay.
Like, it'd be perfect. It'd be the perfect opportunity to do it. But I also really enjoy riding a bike. I used to love doing that when I was a kid. And any bike I've gotten on since, I've loved doing it. And it is a decent workout.
Okay,
I don't know if it's great.
Then why don't you? This ultimately is what I'm going to keep asking is why don't you?
Right. And I'm actively looking for a bike, but I don't have the money to spend $500-$600 on a bike right now.
Well,
So,
you don't have to spend $500, $600, $700
to get a
on a
decent bike, you do. Unless I want to go get a mongoose from
Little
Walmart.
mongoose BMX bike, wannabe BMX bike.
Like, that's the thing. Now I'm
Or
looking
why not
at
go to the used
Marketplace.
market?
I'm looking at Marketplace on Facebook and seeing if there's any options there. Like, I'm willing to spend like $200, maybe $300 if it's the
Sure.
right bike.
I'm just someone who's not going to allow you to cop out.
I've been actively looking for a bike for this specific purpose. Now, why I don't go to the gym, I think I've told you before, and I'll say it again, I'm just lazy.
Yeah, well, like I
I don't
said,
want to. When I wake up at 5 a.m., I'm just like, a couple more hours of sleep.
no, it's
It's easy to do.
well, motivation can only take you so far, and that's why
Right,
discipline takes over. Do you think I want to get
no.
up at 4:45 every morning to go to the gym? No, I hate doing that. I don't want to do that, but I do. There's no motivation in my act of going to the gym anymore. It's all discipline at this point.
Yeah. Especially with the first couple weeks and the pain.
And I need to learn discipline. That is,
You know, the best way of learning discipline is by doing the acts that you want to get
Forcing you
discipline
to do it. Forcing yourself to do it, because once you're done and leaving, you're going to feel better about yourself. And then that's going to be motivation to keep going, because you're going to be like, I like that feeling.
you're
I
trying,
want it again.
Well, and you
You're
said,
trying to
and
pry
you
out
said,
of me.
You've said that you enjoyed the feeling after you've
I-
gone to the gym. Like, I feel
Absolutely.
rejuvenated. I feel awesome.
Feels great.
I can feel like I can
Absolutely.
conquer
Your
the day.
blood's rushing.
And
Everything
now,
feels
and now you
healthy.
get, you're back. You're currently back in that slump of.
You're right.
And so, like, it's like being a heroin addict? Wouldn't you want to keep chasing that high? Wouldn't
would
you want to
think,
keep
man.
doing heroin?
Maybe you're just
Ish.
addicted to being
But
depressed.
here's the problem, too. Well, that's just it. I think I'm in a slump.
Yeah.
Like, when on my days off, I don't do anything but lay in my fucking bed.
Well,
I've
that's
got
not good
nothing
either.
to fucking do.
There's plenty of well, go to the gym. That's plenty
Well,
of
yes,
stuff to do.
Right. Going to the gym is a great way to, start. But now I got to somehow motivate myself to actually want to get up at 5 a.m. and not just,
Start with setting the alarm.
Do you know how many
I
times
have.
I've seen this man set alarms and he's like, "Oh, I'll see you in the morning," and he's got like 12 alarms. Like, no, you won't.
I do the
Oh,
same
Jesus.
thing, honestly.
dude, seriously,
Are you?
I set my alarms.
You're one of those two.
I get
well,
up.
what I've told
I'm
you,
a one
what I-
alarmer.
Or sometimes I actually just miss my alarms.
yeah. Well,
But
It
sometimes I
happens.
get up and I'm like, No.
Yeah.
God.
What I've told
That's
you
like
to
my
do.
wife's phone, dude. Like an alarm every
I do an
so
alarm
often.
every 5.
Yeah. What
Oh
I've
my
told you to
God.
do is don't use your phone alarm that sits right next to your bed.
Oh, I've got an alarm clock
Go
too.
buy an alarm clock that's far away,
Stick it under your bed.
or
The one with the
because you're currently still
hits
living
the
at
bells.
home, go set the alarm clock next to your dad. He's not going to like that. And he's going to wake you up.
Chances are he's gonna be up anyways.
That's what I'm saying. Why
Yeah.
aren't you enlisting your dad to motivate you to get up?
That's true.
Look,
if you
Because
have
he
someone
would.
that can advocate
He would
and help
absolutely
wake
motivate you
up.
to get up.
Yeah, you say that, and you think that
I've talked to him. He said, like, I asked him, like,
He
hey, are
has.
you up at that time?
he has knocked on my door and been like, Caleb, get up. You're going to the gym. Meh.
I don't know. You're not
Well,
speaking
what
very
do you want?
strongly
What
for
do you-
yourself.
what do you
Okay.
want?
No, what it sounds like you need
What
to
do you want?
what you need to do is talk to your dad and say, hey, if I act in this particular fashion, I ask you and I implore you to correct this and actually get me up.
Pour water on me.
Yeah, don't just like, oh, I tried. No, Dad, please get me up.
That's true, man. Like, you know what I do to my son to wake his ass up every day? Or, like, not every day, but the fun chances I get to wake him up. You know, like, I started getting them on the homeschool schedule. Like, you're going to be on my schedule now, and we'll try this out. I wake up at 5 a.m. So I go in and wake the kids up at 5:05 a.m. shortly after I wake up. And they do not want to wake up. Well, my daughter actually kind of springs to life. It's weird. It kind of scares me sometimes. But my son is just a rock. And he's just a big, heavy rock. And I'm just like, no. And I shake and I pull. And sometimes I'll just yank him out of bed. Dude, he gets up. Like, there's no not getting up. That's not an option.
Kyle, I'll tell you this right now. There's no one in my house yanking me out of my bed.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, man, you got to
Holly
be that
might be
guy.
able to.
You got to be that guy.
I get it. I think what this boils down to, right? I think what it boils down to is, you know, it's easy to ask, well, why don't you just do it? Why don't you just do it?
And I've said I'm lazy, but that's never good enough for people.
It makes sense, but it's like lazy's a choice is the point.
Right.
Because even if you sleep through your alarm and you don't want to go in the early mornings, what Joey's saying is correct. If you guys don't have you have a busy schedule. I'm not sure. You obviously work, so it's like your schedule's based on, you know, circumstances. There's a time, whether it's late at night, if need
Absolutely.
be, when you're already awake and you're done with work, and if that needs to be your time to go work out, it's late at night, then go do it. It's
But I'm
not the
lazy.
best
Well, here's-
time to go work out for your body, but it's 100% better than nothing.
Here's one thing.
110% better than nothing.
Here's an option that I can give you to go get up and go to the gym. Your whole family is not going to like it. I can wake up and come to your house and knock on that door until someone answers.
You're right. You can.
And they're not going to like it. And I will
Then
do
he
that
can
every
come in and
single
shake
day.
you and pull you out of bed.
Yeah.
And then once he's done, it'll be like a fun carpool ride. He'll roll over to Zach's house and until Sam lets him in, and he's yanking and pulling Zach out of bed. It'll be the same exact thing.
I can give you an answer for any excuse that
Right.
you're going to give me, and you're not going to enjoy the answer that I
Right.
give you.
But why can't you just accept the fact that I'm lazy?
Because I shouldn't. I don't want to accept the fact that someone wants to ruin their entire fucking life.
It's more than that, Caleb, because I see where he's getting with this, and there's really no way of getting around it because you've acknowledged the fact that you want to change, that you want the change, but you're not willing to put the work in for it.
Right.
Well,
'Cause I'm lazy.
especially when you gave me the reason,
Right,
when
but
you
that
said you
doesn't-
looked at your dad and you said like I don't want to be like him, and yet
And I don't.
you're very constantly progressing towards that fact.
Here's another thing,
But I
though.
also don't think I'm a gym person.
It's not
That's
about being
why
a gym person.
That's why I want to get like a bike and do it like that way.
I don't think there is such a thing as a gym person. Everyone's just utilizing the tools that they're given at that
I mean,
place.
there's the gym
Well,
bros.
sure.
You know, they're there.
I think
But honestly, some of those guys, if you ask them for help on some things, they'd probably be like, "Oh yeah, dude, I got you," and they'd probably personal train you for free, and they'd be happy to do it because they're like being acknowledged, and they're like all buff and stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, you're acknowledging my gains."
Realistically, I think what ends up happening when we have these conversations is everyone tries to drill motivate, and I completely understand what you guys are saying. You want the best for people, you care, right? I get it. The problem is that it comes in as more of a drilling, forcing motivation onto someone when, and at the end of the day, and I'm not saying you're wrong for this. What I'm saying is at the end of the day, if it's not getting through, if it hasn't gotten through their mind that they need to make the change, it doesn't matter what you say. And in fact, sometimes it makes it worse.
You're 100% correct because you're this is exact same point can be made to like someone on a centrist moderate or someone on the right talking about anyone on the left. It's the same thing. You're just they're going to be the way they are. It doesn't matter what you say. They don't care.
They've got to find what I'm saying is I'm not saying you shouldn't try to motivate people, right? Because what would we be as a society if we didn't try to motivate other people, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't try to motivate other people. What I'm saying though is that at the end of the day, they're going to have to come to that conclusion themselves. So don't be overbearing on it, which I'm not saying you guys are. I'm just saying sometimes it can be overbearing.
I'm currently overbearing on Caleb and you because we're currently in the room together talking about it.
And I've said some things that are overbearing too, but like that's just probably the military thing coming out where it's like everybody is motivating towards each other.
Right.
And it's like if it's that whole thing of like, listen, in the military, it's like the weakest link, that's everybody, right? Everybody's that weakest link. So you're trying to get that person up to par. Well, if you think about taking that logic into human society, well, now we're all humans. We're all males, especially. We want the best for everybody,
You're going
right?
to assume what I identify as?
Shut the hell up with that nonsense bullshit. So we're going to want the best for everybody. So it's like it's never coming from a bad place.
Well, yeah, and let me say that clearly too, is I understand that. I understand that. I mean, we've all known each other long enough. I mean, I totally understand.
But I'm sure even
why.
if not, I'm sure even if someone who didn't know you, who made fun of you, realistically just wants you to not, wants you to be healthier, wants you to be more cut, wants you to be more of a male specimen. And I'm not trying to say anything about, who you are as a man.
Now.
Right.
But I'm just simply saying, like, there's a whole point, like, dude, look at the Greeks, look at what they visioned, like, this is all like a thing, man. Like, we're supposed to be strong, we should all be able to go out there and start running, and there should be a certain point where we're all tired at the same time. But that's not the case right now, is it?
Yeah, I get it.
That's the point. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
I think that's all it stems from. And it's I mean,
this is one of the reasons
you want the men of America, you want all men of America to be what they used to be during World War II.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing.
It's not even
too.
men of America. Sorry to cut you off there,
You're
but
good.
not just men of America, but I talk to women as well. Like, dude, like, why aren't you trying to better yourself? Like, I want everyone.
True.
Every single person be in the best physical condition that they possibly can be in. Mostly not just because they're fit, but because of health reasons. I want them to be in the health in the best healthy possible realm that
believe
they can
it or
be
not, like maybe I'm this pissed because like I can foresee a future where, like I've seen good friends die on me early and young.
Yeah.
And like maybe I don't want to see that happen.
Right.
Again. And like I'm seeing a trajectory.
No, well,
maybe
diabetes,
that's all it is.
diabetes are a hell of a thing.
Diabetes.
Are you prepared to lose a foot?
Diabetes.
Gangrene. You laugh, but that's serious.
Trust me, I know.
But I mean, I think that's really where it comes from. It's that brotherhood thing, like you see a group of people, you kind of connect with and bond with, and it's like you want the best for everybody. You want the best in that flock,
Yeah. I understand that 100%. And right now, I could sit here and think in my head of all of the different excuses that I could make, right? I mean, I have been. I've only brought up one of them. But I could sit here and list off all of the excuses, but at the end of the day, until I get it through my thick skull that I need to try to find a way to get there, it's not going to happen for me.
Yep.
And I can sit here and try to think, okay, well, how do I get myself into that mindset? How do I, and I can do little things to try to get myself to that point. But I think one of the biggest problems that I don't know, there's just so much, it seems like there's so much pressure out there. I'm not saying this is my reason. I'm saying there's just a lot of pressure out there to try to, do this, do that. And I think it just needs to come organically in someone's mind. And until that happens, I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to be healthier. Right. And I've taken small steps. At one point I was just counting calories. I was making sure that I was getting all of the, my protein and my sugars and balancing those out.
Why'd you stop?
Why did I stop? Well, because it was,
who else
because
does
it,
the
because it
same
was
exact
difficult
thing?
to do. It was
Who
difficult
does
to
the
do.
same exact thing, starts and stops the same exact thing that you just said?
What's that?
Your neighbor.
Was that-
A future guest on the show, hopefully.
And not because you were going to continue on, but specifically for dieting, I think you took it.
That I did. Well, I did
think you
go
took
to.
it.
It did go.
I
extreme.
think you took it to the extreme far too quickly, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say your calorie intake was 3,000 calories per day. Just ballpark it, right? Let's say it was 3,000 calories. Your typical calorie intake, if you're sitting around, would be 2,000 calories. Everyone knows this. Blah blah blah. And then you took it to the extreme, like, oh well, I'm only going to do 750 calories or 900 calories.
Yeah,
that is. From 3,000 to 4,000 calories all the way to 900, that's a dramatic change.
And I'll tell you too. Things like that. That was, well, I don't know. Maybe this is another thing too, because it's. I think people do need a certain level of education. So people like me, Caleb, we do need a certain level of education to try to get ourselves more confident in the choices that we make.
What do you need?
Hold on.
All right.
Scott,
I wouldn't say just Caleb and I, all four of us. I'm not gonna sit here and try and pretend that Kyle or I are experts in this matter either.
So
Right.
what I think happens for me is I'll think something's a great idea, right?
Sure.
I'll think something's a great idea, and so like the calorie deficit. So I'll do a calorie deficit. I went down to 1,500 calories a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, well, you know what? Okay, I can get my protein. I can get all this stuff. I can plan out my protein to be more heavy during the first part of the day, so I have sustained energy versus eating something sugary and, all of that energy being spent within an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did all that. The problem was I did do that extreme, right? And so when I did that extreme, one, it took me a lot more work to try to figure out, okay, what are my meals going to be? I have to prep those meals because I knew that if I didn't prep them for the week, I was going to fall off, and there was all of this added stuff because I took it to an extreme, right?
Yep.
Whereas what you guys are essentially saying is just get yourself to a gym, if nothing else, right? I think that should be the main thing. Is
you know what? You
there's
don't even
a
need
lot
to
of
go
pressure.
to a gym.
There's a lot of pressure
listen,
to make
like-
the big changes.
Well, if we're talking about dieting,
Listen, look, just realistically, cut out as many sugars as you can. Limit your control portions to the smallest portion as sugars, and then everything else. Still eat.
I'm not necessarily
eat sugars. Eat donuts.
Like-
eat all that yummy shit, but don't eat a lot. Don't eat more donuts than steak.
yeah. Well, think about it this way, right? So if you were starting a diet, what I would recommend doing, take 2 weeks, eat how you would normally eat, and count those calories.
right.
Right. So now, okay, I'm at 4,000 calories. Okay. Don't automatically go to 1,500.
Hold
go
up
to,
real fast.
Go to
The
30
Asians straight up going to counting the calories.
Go to. He's talking about counting calories. What do you mean?
No,
Well, actually,
But you're
I was
straight
getting-
up like, don't count anything.
I was getting to
No.
look,
Well,
look,
don't
no.
count anything.
If he's gonna count calories, 4,000 calories. Guess
He's
what?
saying
Okay,
he
2
didn't
weeks.
like it, though.
2
No,
weeks.
no.
2 weeks.
Both of you stop because you're
No.
not hearing what I'm saying. My point was not just about counting calories. My point was that I tend to have an outlook of going to the gym every single day at 5 a.m. because that's what I see Joey do. And so I set that extreme for myself. And I'm setting myself up to fail because I know that when I miss 3 days for whatever reason, whether it's justified in my mind or not, if I miss those 3 days at 5 a.m. and someone
Might as well not go at all.
Right. That's my point. And so I set this extreme for myself and I set this high standard. It's not the high standard that we set for ourselves that's the problem. It's when we're not able to meet that high standard. And so I think that's one of the problems that I have sometimes. And I understand that setting the goal low just to get myself into the gym, I get that. And actually, now that I'm talking myself through this, I'm actually seeing how this.
One day a week.
Well, and that's what it
Yeah.
loses my point about calorie counting is you go from 4,000 calories to 3,500
Right,
calories.
right.
And
Sure.
then another month from then you go to 3,000 calories.
I was just
You-
being racist. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was the one that was counting calories in the first place. So
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's where you would go.
I don't-
I know that society might have been like, count your
it's
calories.
the fucking
like
it's the
Atkins.
infant
I don't know.
it's the fitness influencers that are getting
Is
to
that what it is?
Oh, absolutely. Getting to you guys.
It
that
wasn't
are
just-
talking about
no,
that
it
stuff.
Never
wasn't-
ever once in my life worried about calories.
It wasn't
Ever.
influences for me. I look, here's the thing, right? I'll tell you, in my mind, in my fat mind, right?
Sure.
My thought was if I control if I can control the amount of calories, but I can have bigger portions,
Yeah.
you know. So for instance, I'll give you for instance, I could either have a chicken breast and rice in a smaller portion, like half a chicken breast and a cup, half a cup of rice or whatever to fit into that extreme calorie,
Yeah.
or I could have mountains of something else that was much more healthier for me, or that had much less calories in it. That's just a silly example, but that was what went through my mind was that, okay, well, I can still be at a calorie deficit and I can have bigger portions.
You know where I struggle with calorie counting, and this is why I don't do it at all,
Yeah.
is I'm allotted, say, 2,000 calories a day, right? A steak bagel from McDonald's is 1,000 calories. I still got 1,000 to use for the day.
Well, then you're also getting that 32-ounce cup of soda.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to avoid.
We-
I think cutting soda out is huge.
Yeah, we definitely shouldn't. We should have
It
this
was.
conversation with AJ. Have him on because he's a physical fitness coach. So
Okay.
he's the gym I go to.
All right. Yeah.
and
That'd be
he,
cool to have on.
Yeah.
He
I wouldn't mind because like the only reason military wise, from other guys, but then like working at a GNC, and learning all like what the different what proteins
get
do
your
and
macros,
whatever
man.
else. Yeah, you just
What
kind of
about your
learn what
macros?
the different things do.
No one cares about micros.
I do.
Yeah, because you got a micro peak.
Oh. Oh.
Got
I
him.
quit.
Got him.
I quit at life.
Well, yeah.
You
I
gonna commit
think
Sudoku?
now that
I'll do
I've
the
kind
puzzle
of
with you though. I got to figure them out.
Yeah, it's called assisted Sudoku.
oh boy, we've gotten off rail. Well, yeah. I think
Don't be fat.
um
Do better. Be better.
I
Just do
it. yeah.
Can send it, man.
What are we drinking?
Oh, you tell me, man. All right. Well, we've been drinking. You got the surprise for us, and I think all of us have enjoyed some of this Kid Kolsch
Yeah, from
from our favorite New Glarus Brewing Company out of New Glarus,
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
would it be any different?
right.
I don't think it would be.
Again, I'm going to defend it by saying that is the one brewery that gives us the most
There's
variety.
a lot of variety,
Yeah.
man. I mean, we generally go back to it a lot, but it's really good beer.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard. Like you go to, it's like, well, we can get the Banquet, we can get the Miller Lite,
Yeah.
we can get some Milwaukee's Best, or we can get whatever New Glarus and just like close our eyes and pick up whatever
Yeah.
New Glarus we want, and it'll be delicious.
I'll tell you. I'll give you a funny story about beer. Quick, we went down to Myrtle Beach once and stopped at a tourist place. And up here in Wisconsin, if you stop at a tourist place, they're going to have some sort of local brewing company that has some sort of beer, right?
Sure.
So I go into South Carolina. For whatever reason, my Wisconsinite kicked in, and I'm like, okay, my neighbors were watching our little pet that we have at home every day. I'll bring him something home. He likes beer.
There you go.
So I go into this place. This place is huge. It's got everything you could think of, T-shirts, whatever, souvenirs. And I thought, okay, if there's a place that's going to sell some sort of local beer, it's this place. So I go over to the beer cooler and I don't see anything. And then there was one spot where it kind of looked like I could go in there, but I wasn't quite sure, right? And so I asked the lady behind the counter, I said, do you have any beer from like any local breweries or anything? And she says, well, all we got is Coors, Bud Light, Bud, and Miller. That's the only variety we got, hon. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she actually kind of said it in a snotty attitude, and so I diffused it, and I didn't want my tourists to show too much, and so I said, oh well, we're from Wisconsin, so we have a lot of different kinds of beers. And she says, oh, I don't know about all that. I know y'all got a brewery on every other corner up there. I'm like, I'm not even
jealous?
mad.
Kinda.
That's fine.
Jealous?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm too here in Beloit. So
Yeah. So you know what? I don't care. Go ahead. Think whatever you want. We're the better drinkers.
Yep.
You
I
suck.
can outdrink you any
Well,
day.
I got Miller, I got Coors,
Yeah, that was.
and I got Bud.
She listed all. That was the funny part to me is she listed off all of the regular beer that you could get anywhere else.
But could you also imagine just going into like Woodman's here and just being like, what beer do you have? And expect them to list everything they had.
That
Right.
is true. Like if it were the opposite, someone from Myrtle Beach came and
They'd
visited
be so mad at you.
in Wisconsin.
Like,
Yeah. Well, I would think, okay,
got
I'm at
this
Woodman's.
aisle.
Yeah. I'm working at Woodman's in Beloit here, the size of their liquor store. I'm working at Woodman's and someone says, what kind of beer do you guys have? I would just
Well, it would be like
everything the light touches.
so from that aisle
Well,
to
it would
that
be
aisle.
like it'd be like Netflix, right? So it'd be paralysis through analysis. So you'd be there's so many options. What do I do?
Yeah.
You want your comedies, your action thrillers?
I would instantly turn into Mufasa from Lion King. Everything the light touches.
What about the dark areas?
We
We don't talk
go-
about Modelo like that.
Don't crap on Modelo's fine. I like Modelo.
I do like Modelo. So the Kid Kolsch, man, how did you like it? I liked it. It was a sweet kind of beer. Is a little different.
Well,
But,
I don't know if sweet is the right word.
Yeah, it's weird.
It has
right?
a sweet undertone, but it's
Yeah.
not.
It's a very small undertone. You can see that it's there, but I don't know. It's not. It's really not a heavy beer. I wouldn't say.
Oh no, it's a light.
But
Yeah.
it is kind of fruity. I think what we're talking about sweet. You can just taste some of the fruit type stuff in there, some of the flavors.
Right.
So it does have a little bit of a fruitiness to it, but it's balanced. It's not too fruity. It's not too hoppy.
No,
it's
not happy at all, really.
It's just
It's just right.
it's a solid
it is.
beer.
It's just right.
Yeah.
It's almost it's the perfect beer.
yeah.
I don't know about perfect. I do like it for sure.
Look,
but
man, I honestly have nothing wrong to say. Like I could drink a bunch of these. I'm not gonna get gut rot from them.
Yeah, I could definitely drink them easy too.
I could probably drink this for the next couple days and not get sick of it.
Honestly, I kind of consider this like Spotted Cow, but with some fruity,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
fruitiness.
Yeah. No,
That's a
no,
good way to
exactly.
describe
Yeah,
it.
it's
As far
exactly.
as body goes, it's pretty much on par with a Spotted
little,
Cow.
almost lighter than
Oh,
a
a
Spotted
little bit
Cow.
lighter maybe, but a little bit fruitier. A little bit of a fruitier taste to it.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it. I like it.
How'd you like it, Caleb? Like
I
that
loved it.
one? Loved it.
Loved it.
Not as much as I love Spotted Cow, but I loved it.
Yeah. Good. Well, we found one that we like. We'll have
There
to
we
add
go.
it to our repertoire.
Of the other like 20 beers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is seasonal, so it'll probably go away for like what 6 years and then come back some random time.
Some of them come out yearly, and
Yeah,
then
some of them.
others don't come back for.
Still looking for the Pear 21.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that one will come out soon. Again.
When that comes out in those 4-packs, that's like the most I'll spend on beer because I'm going to buy a bunch of those.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot.
They're good. So. What do you?
Well, all right, Zach.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah. Thanks for
Caleb?
coming on, Caleb.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
no
much,
worries.
man.
Sorry,
Doesn't-
I had points where I didn't talk.
No, you're good.
Hey, man, you had points where you did talk, so
We
thanks for coming on and doing that.
we
Of
always,
course.
we always like having people on, regardless of what we're talking about. It gives us a perspective on it that we may not have thought about. So
Well, it's always fun, man. No, thanks for coming on. Thanks again, Zach. Thanks, Joe.
Are we done?
Yeah. We'll see you next time.